Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fight Night Rising. We had a bit of a week off, and hope you all enjoyed your holidays or just your week in general. But we are back with some TFT action, and alongside me, we got Boopasaurus. Boop, how have you been?
I've been great, dude. I'm in a wonderful mood today. I don't know I got good sleep. I got a lot of stuff done. My list is getting checked off, so I'm really excited to come in. And we're after a hot fix, and so
Yeah.
we've been lucky enough to be able to be the first kind of casters to look at a lot of these competitors under this new situation, and it's going to be no different today after we got some Z changes, for example, that were in there as that got loaded in as I hit Z3 and was like, "Why? What is happening to me?" And I got and I got 7th, and that was why, folks. So a couple changes for things like Hurricane. We'll point those out, of course, a little later. But I think, are going to be able to see a couple different things today because of those changes. And one thing we're definitely going to see are some players. Let's see who are going to be joining us today.
Yeah, we got Numano, of course, Single Persona, I Like Hobos, Mood 2, Alex M, Riku, Asian Gamer, and Path of Gaming.
All right, so path of gaming is all path that we've taken to so far, Crowan, and we cannot say it enough. I think it's a little bit broken recordy, but you've got to look at Numano and I like Hobos. They have different but also similar play styles, and we'll definitely talk about those too. But yeah, this is a nice little lobby. Numano and I like Hobos, a single persona, also coming back from last week, from the week before too. So this is 2 weeks in a row with this
Yeah.
top three.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, coming back for their share of the prize pool. Everyone's going to be gunning for that. Top four will earn some money here tonight. First place getting 100, second place 50, third and fourth $25, and top three get invited back to try to break maybe Gunmay's streak there. Is still Sphinx didn't quite do it. Got like halfway there, but hey, maybe with players like Numano, we can see
Hmm.
that because we've been talking a lot about Numano in the past weeks. There's a lot of other players in this lobby I do want to give some some of their perspective once we get into the match. But Numano's been coming out doing really well recently. You're just talking about before the show how Numano got third in the Challenger series, and that just happened recently on Monday, and was in a pretty good spot to actually win it,
Hmm.
depending on other players' placements.
Yeah.
Who played really well, but we are going into game number one here and starting off on Asian gamers' perspective. And this is a player that I'm really curious about looking at now because when we casted here on this channel the qualifier for the NA regional number one, Asian gamer was a very much a Z1 trick. Now we've had the patch, the 0.24 patch, and then the hot fix to Z, but it has not strayed Asian Gamer away. I was actually just checking Asian Gamer's match history before the show here, and Asian Gamer is still 20 out of 20 Z only. Now, one thing that's also a little bit interesting is the fact that the only game that Asian Gamer won out of his last 10 was one where he only had a Z1 and the rest of the comp was legendaries. Every other game was like like a fourth, maybe like a fifth, sixth, like maybe a
Yeah.
second in there, but no wins when Zed was the main focus on the comp. Zed was still in the last game. It was just a Z1 though.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have played Zed within the last couple days, you feel the difference, man. Like I remember before that hot fix, Zed would go in, and especially with RFC Rageblade, you're like, okay, and you kill the whole team, and then by the time your team even gets to Zed, because they get all confused after the shade proc happens, right? You're dead, and that just isn't really happening anymore. And
Yeah.
even with Rageblade, the attack speed just doesn't feel like it's there. Hurricane got nerfed, and so if you do end up with those, what is it, 4 or 5 bows that you need for that Zed build, you could still run it. Maybe it's a top four comp, but I think it's time to, and we do get another bow, so this is good for
Yep.
Asian Gamer. It might be time to start trying to think of other ways of attempting this particular comp, or seeing what kind of items that
Yeah.
Zed might use better now that attack speed just isn't as good across the board for some people, especially with Hurricane getting that 10% nerf. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm really intrigued to see where this is going to finish because a lot of people have been moving away from some of these things. I don't know if you saw Keen's Aphelios win a little earlier today,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's something that is going to be really great for us because it's almost like link to the past of what used to be really good versus what's getting good. And I think this is going to be a really nice barometer to see where we are in the Z world versus the other worlds.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. And Asia Gamer already getting rewarded for that play style. Is gonna have two bows, gonna have two Zeds as well. There was a little bit of hesitation when Asian Gamer had the Zed offered in the previous round, but still very much going for it. Maybe just think about all the options. I mean, I'm sure that Asian Gamer has noticeably felt that this Zed comp is weaker, as we were just talking about. So just at that point, it's a willingness to pivot to something else or an unwillingness and then want to just maintain the status quo here, and it looks like it's going to be an RFC slam, so it's very much going to be another Zed game for Asian Gamer. I almost wanted to see Asian Gamer play for a spot where there was no Zeds in the beginning, like no direction, and see where he goes, because Asian Gamer is a very
Mhm.
interesting play style where they are very comfortable with getting super low HP, but then just like turbo spike once they hit level 7, they'll roll for Zed. Sometimes they won't even roll for Z3. They'll just say, okay, I only have like 3 or 4 Zeds. I'm just gonna push levels and go to level 9 and be chilling like 20 HP, but still like win out from there and secure top fours that way.
So I think this is a really great time to kind of discuss the role difference before
Oh
the
yeah,
hot fix. The idea was that you would stop rolling for a 4 cost chosen, or you could, it would be just less secure, right?
yeah,
At level 7. They wanted to push people to get to level 8 or 9. And I've definitely seen some some differences in play since the new change has come through. Way before the hot fix, it was ninjas. You would go 4-1 and see if you could get a chosen ninja or something, and
yeah,
try to get a top 4 that way. But now it's a little bit differently. You can still do all of those same things, but I don't know if you noticed in a lot of the patch notes that we had before the hot fix, it was a lot of nerfs, right?
yeah.
So a lot of things across the board got a little weaker, and so what this means is things might end up feeling a little bit more fair in the early game and mid game. Well, we might see a little bit more diversity as well in terms of chosen choices. We aren't going to see across the board 4 cost chosens potentially when we get to the end game. 5 cost chosens are becoming a little bit more popular. We're hitting 9, we're getting to 8, but the 4-1 roll down is still a legitimate thing that you can do to try to get a top 4. And I like that we're there, that we can have even just 2 different ways of hitting that level 7 and saying, I'm going to choose this, I'm going to choose this, and both are viable paths.
Oh yeah, no, definitely viable paths. There are multiple viable paths there for sure, and with the chosen cause changes, it completely changes how the flow of the game is, and it's very noticeable. And we'll see it here today, and kind of go over it once we reach the later on in the game. But I mean, Asian Gamer has not only found a natural Z2, but then as well the chosen
Mhm.
shade Z. I loved seeing just the question mark things come through from other players once they notice that happens,
Because
because
they
yeah,
know what Asian Gamer's doing,
of course.
right? Like the scouting is there. You knew it, we all knew it, and we're seeing how rough it's been for Zen players recently. At least we do get a first pick on the carousel.
Yep, first pick, have the option for another bow, and that's exactly what Asian Gamer's going to go for. You want, at least 3 bows if you're playing Zed. It could still be made into a Rune, it's going to be made into a Rage Blade, but probably want a QSS on there as well. You can go with not having that, however. I've seen that still do well, but it'd be curious to see how this comp is going to match up. I specifically want to see this matchup against, I don't know, Warwick comps are kind of popular again.
Mhm.
Divine, you put still, even with the Rune's nerf, still Rune's like Titans, QSS, or Rena's Titans and like Deathblade or Giant Slayer, one of those really good for Warwick. You can replace Titans for a QSS, but definitely want two damage items there. And I'm sure we're going to see some comps that are like that.
I love Warwick. I know like the Divine week was kind of hard for that,
Yeah,
but Warwick is a cool character. And if you're trying to lose LP, you can just put only spat items on him, which is really fun actually. And you can sneak into a top 4 with a Spat Warwick or Spatwick. Don't do it in this situation though. Warwick is much better and more consistent with that
yeah,
damage and a little bit of defense. And the thing about Warwick too is well, those are best in slots that you said. There are definitely some like second choice items that can still do quite well
yeah,
on Warwick if you're not able to get that best in slot. Asian Gamer is very close to getting all of the best in slot items for Zed, but we are losing and we're not getting a ton of casualties on the other side. We did this particular time, but
yeah,
we are pretty far behind in terms of the lobby. 78 HP being at around under 80 HP here is what I consider like low but acceptable.
yeah.
Um, but we're getting into kind of like a scary-ish situation, especially if we get stomped on this particular round. We just don't have that much room to grow. And the thing about ninjas is you're gonna be behind until you get those 4 ninjas, for example, or even until you get those other shades, which we need to be higher levels on anyway.
Yeah, Age Gamer, let me looking for a loss this round, and I think that's smart. Age Gamer already spent 4 gold to pre-level right now and has 5 gold on the bench, so if they lost, they wouldn't have got the extra 1 gold to make 30 econ breakpoint there. But they are just playing both Zeds, which might look strong, but other players leveling up to 5, such as Mood2 on the other side here, so they're going to be strong enough to beat Age Gamer here. If it's a loss to 1 or 2 units, it's fine. If you lose to like 3 or 4, it feels a bit worse, dropping to 70 HP. Okay, killed 2 units there though, so it's not the worst case scenario. And again, this is where Asian Gamer is kind of comfortable with dropping low in the early game, making sure to make as much econ as possible. And already with 6 Zeds at 2-6, even before 2-6, that's going to be super, super good. Asian Gamer now has Cultist in, which you do play or he does play during the early mid game with his composition a lot. You can even still play it before you get all your 4 ninjas online, and it's pretty solid route here for Asian Gamer. I think it's pretty on track, even though you might be a bit worried looking at the HP number here.
We could even put in an Evelyn to help with that shade buff
Yep.
once we do find it. 5 loss streak means we're getting pretty good econ too. We'll see exactly where we land after this particular round because everything's been going his way so far. We do get the Rage Blade if we want it. For a little bit more attack speed. And remember, attack speed's always good on Zed because it'll proc that shade. Auto attack, no problem. I wonder if we are gonna go with that Rage Blade on the Zed as we look for other units to complete this because we're still losing.
Yeah.
And again, we're comfortable. We're okay with that, but that's only to a certain point, especially when you have Numano and ILikeHoboes in 1 and 2 right now. It's going to
It's so
be,
fitting.
yeah, I know it's hard to overtake them on a good day, right? So the plan here is definitely go for what bread and butter is for Asian Gamer and seeing exactly how that's going to match up with our top two.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, yeah, Asian Gamer is going to hold off on making the Rage Blade. They definitely prioritize the Renan's Hurricane, but they will slam the Rage Blade if the Renan's just isn't there. And it's going to be a Thieves Glow Slam as well on the Pike. And you got Frozen Heart, kind of brings you back in the day when Frozen Heart Pike was just a thing that you aggressively went for. Not going to be the case nowadays, but yeah, still loses the round there on a 6 loss streak. But again, the econ is going to be there, and this is where Edge Gamer is comfortable with. I did want to
Mhm.
take a look towards the perhaps the top of the lobby right now with either ILikeHoboes or Numano, see how they're doing. We do get to look at ILikeHoboes here, and with a Kindred too as well. Kindred still a very very strong carry in the mid game. There's not a lot of direction when it comes to items here for ILikeHoboes. There's just a locket which is pretty flexible, and then some spare components on the Nunu and the Kindred here, but it's still going to be good enough to win streak out, which is why we see ILikeHoboes at 98 HP. They haven't lost since 1 unit in stage 2, so pretty strong start here with the Brawlers and Elderwoods.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a different environment to play in. I think we got a little computer switch for I
Yeah,
like hobos. Maybe new environment is going to help you out a little bit more, especially in that fourth lobby. Sorry, that was a little mean. Anyway, I like hobos
oh yeah,
are in the top, and this is what I like to call the beefy boys. You got Sir Thomas, you got Michael, you got Nunu, right? And they're going
yeah.
to be beefy in the front line. And this is, in my opinion, one of the better early mid game compositions when damage just isn't that high, right? To where your attrition is going to win. Once we have
Yep.
the items on ashes, for example, it's going to be much harder to do. But if we're able to, I mean, if we're going to commit to something like this and we 3-star some of our beefy boys, then we're gonna be chilling.
3 star some of the beefy boys. Oh boy,
Yeah.
let's see if
Could
someone's
you
actually
imagine?
bold enough to do that play. Just a little bit of a position swap here from ILikeHoboes. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, ILikeHoboes does sometimes in the later game like not scout as much as I think they should, and it might lead to some inconsistencies there. Because a lot of times in late game, like you're thinking about like how can I improve my comp, or like how do I improve like what direction do I go from here, but it's not. Sometimes you sacrifice just the basics, right? The one-on-ones that I have to scout and position well against my certain like 3 matchups that I know I'm gonna
Mhm.
go against. And I like Hobos is doing a good job of that, at least in the early game, but it's gonna get more complex, of
Yeah.
course, as the game goes on.
Yeah, for example, if y'all at home realize how slow that round is, right? The DPS gets so fast that if a or gets so much better later on if a round goes that slow,
Yeah.
that's bad for you. In the early game, this is great. You kind of want that war of attrition to go completely fine for you. But as we get later on, there's of a lot of the comps, this one just has one of those precipitous fall offs because damage does become important in the late game. You just don't really have it, especially if you don't find an Ash maybe to try to fit in that Hunter. And right now, Kindred, again, some of the best base damage in the game, but isn't going to carry you through that mid game. Yeah, it can sneak into a top five with like Jewel Gauntlet Blue Buff, for example, but isn't in a best in slot position. And I'm really curious to see how we either stick with brawlers at this point or how we transition out of it, as we did get a tier on that Ash.
Yeah, it's gonna. Oh, okay. I was curious to see if ILikeHoboes would keep the Ash, had a tier on it. I mean, it could be Shiv or Hodge or something like that, but they just sold it, and the Nunu that had the tier as well, and put it on Kindred. Now, this is gonna secure, or hopefully secure the rest of the stage 3 win streak here for ILikeHoboes, and that'll be the difference, honestly, between like getting first in the game or maybe just getting second or third or something like that. Econ that you can save like that is just really, really good. Now, on the other side here, we got a Riven 2 already and a Vygar chosen with Dual Gauntlet Hodge. And I'd be curious to see how far if this Riven actually does go to the end game with that, because the two comps like don't really go together. Vygar could be a carry on his own. Honestly, I think he's actually like not bad right now if you find the right things for it. But there's no blue buff on there, and I think that's going to be the major dissuader away from running just a
Mhm.
Vygar carry there. That's definitely in the Lulu, but that's of course just item carry.
Yeah, this happened a little earlier than I had expected, but that was actually a really, really good example of how the transition into giving Viger more time now just gave him more AP.
Yeah.
Right? Because the brawlers didn't have enough damage to burst them down, even with that little bit of Hodge heal. I forgot what he rolled, but instead he just got a bunch of ults off because there wasn't enough throughput on that damage and then too many casualties before we got to the back line. And that's kind of what you want to look at for these beefier comps, is how they get into the back line and win. If you see
Yeah.
that front line fall and the back lane still has a lot of HP, you can kind of assume you're probably going to lose. But that's definitely the breaking points that you're trying to see, as Alex is going to be continuing to run this mage chosen Viger. Was struggling mightily a little earlier, but does seem to have turned the corner. This Viger is always going to be strong. Jewel Gauntlet is a great item on it, but Timo has just a little
Ooh.
bit too much attack speed to keep this win streak alive.
Yeah, that's really bad if you're Alex here, because you want to be able to change that loss streak into a full win streak here, and especially losing it before Wolves is going to do so much damage to the econ there, because Alex had to roll down just to stabilize, and found anything that they were able to, and that was the Vygar chosen here. But now they want to pivot into some Dusk with Jin as well, which still is a really good comp right now. It's just that you already have you're already just so behind when it comes to the pacing of the game here. There's even the option in the last round to run the Jin and run the sharpshooters over the Elderwoods, but chose to run Elderwoods. It still wasn't good enough, and maybe you got to be second guessing like, okay, was the other option actually better or not? But right now it looks like Alex has to go level 7 and roll, and of course the odds to roll like that for cause chosen aren't going to be there anymore. So Alex is going to decide to pick up this enlightened chosen Janna instead, and that's one that's just gonna stabilize you for round or stage 4, but it's not gonna be one that you want to take into the end game with this comp.
Yeah, I was about to say, what is my favorite word when it comes to TFT casting? Intention, right?
Yeah,
And so, like, this is we all do it, right? But at this point in time, just the way that some of our top players make decisions in this game are just so much more clear and well thought out. The position that Alex was in is a position that no one really likes to be in, which is I need to change or I definitely lose.
yeah,
Right. So I'm going to change and maybe lose instead. And this totally worked out. And so this might be, 3 or 4 extra rounds that keep you alive. And you never know what gets in your pack during those rounds. You might luck out and high roll a couple legendary units. You never know, but you have to be
yeah,
alive in order to get there. And I think this transition or pivot that we saw Alex just do is giving him more time,
yeah.
more so than anything right now. We'll see if it'll get him a top 4 a little later on, which is going to be tough to do with a chosen Janna, which is good. I
Yeah.
mean, the shields are good. It's going to give you AD, which is going to help people like Jin, but again, won't win you a lobby.
Yeah, looking at this comp though, I actually think it was really smart for Alex to pick up the Chosen Janna because while it's like, okay, you're not gonna run that in the end game, it's still just what you need right now to make sure you're securing what could be like close wins or losses right now. Because this Riven is of course, as we said, Riven too. It's really, really strong. It's going to nearly just like 1v9 every fight. You still have the Jhin in the back for a little bit
Mhm,
of insurance there. And even if someone does get through the Riven eventually, you have the Janna just shielding up the entire team the whole time. You have Thresh too, with not 4 dusk yet, only 3 dusk, but still the Thresh shields are very, very good on top of the Janna shields as well. So, Alex should win streak out for most of stage 4 here. Maybe after carousel, someone can contest that, but we see a lot of players even dropping lower than Alex right now, and Alex was the one who was struggling just a bit
mhm.
ago. But now there's 3 people tied for 40 HP, and the lobby is very, very much kind of stabilized here.
I believe he's only lost 4 HP since we saw him beat Hobos
Yeah.
a little earlier, in this lobby. So the other thing that is challenging for Alex is, well, the decisions that we've made to this point have obviously helped us, right? We are not done making those important decisions. There are some comps that I kind of like it to like a set it and forget it type of situation, right? Where it just feels like, all right, I'm just gonna put Ash in the corner and we're good, right?
Yeah.
Or old school Talon. But what Alex is gonna need to decide is where that chosen is gonna go slash stay, right? And if we're
Oof.
gonna push for 4 dusk, if we're going to what does our late game look like? And the hard part here is you can definitely overthink that and make too many decisions to get there. We've
Yeah.
definitely seen that happen in the past where you overthink it and then you just make yourself weaker because you just change a bunch of things, right? This is what to avoid in the short term as we do actually freak out as I don't know if we got the appropriate item or we either got the item we wanted.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I will find out here soon what Alex's plan is. But okay, yeah, 35 HP here. Grabbed a cloak, and they have already a cloak and a belt on the bench there. Already a Zephyr. Maybe it's just for the Kane.
Maybe.
Kane, a solid unit for sure. It's probably gonna find its way in here. Yeah, replaces the Yumi there. Already purchasing some XP to level up to 8. We'll do that after the Raptors, I'm sure, and then sell the Janna, I think, and enroll for their chosen. We just saw the matchup between Alex and Asian Gamer, and Asian Gamer hadn't hit Z3 yet, but it's still strong enough to win that round against Alex because they had the 4 ninjas already online. Asian Gamer also rolled down to 0 right now, and this is kind of the point where they always stabilize at
Mhm.
the end of kind of stage 4 area there. But they have 36 HP, higher than I've seen them work with sometimes. Not
um,
forget
uh, the
Alex.
scary thing looking at Alex right now is the fact that I like Hobo is almost full HP,
Yeah,
level 8. So this is what I was trying to kind of talk about, right? We're kind of fully in our comp at this point, right? We've got a nice carry kindred that could change a little bit later, but as of right now, we're chilling, right? It's 4-5. We're about to go to our last NPC round. We're on fire, and we are 33 HP ahead of second place
yep,
right now. So you're in control, right? You're in control of your destiny at that point. As we look on the bottom side of the leaderboard, everything is different, right? Because I like
oh yeah,
Hobos could lose streak if he wanted to at this point, right? Get to 9, get a legendary chosen, for example. He's probably not going to do that, but just wanted
yeah,
to say that that is something people can do in the late game. Alex can't do that. Right,
yeah.
we just got to 8, and I'm sure some of our low end players are just going to be trapped at 7. So we'll see exactly where everything is going to goes. Like single persona levels to 8, but has no gold, right? So how much more are you going to go off of that as we look at single persona? And looks like this is going to be a pretty big loss.
Yeah, it's a huge loss actually, and Single Persona is going to go down. That's kind of surprising me. I think Single Persona is one of the better players in this lobby. I think they're like among the ILikeHoboes and Numanos here. So a bit unfortunate to see them go out in 8th place here. Gonna see Rico here, and Rico, I don't know too much about them, but they're doing pretty well this game right now. They're in 2nd place. ILikeHoboes did take a loss in the last rounds. The HP discrepancy is being closed just a little bit there, but they're going for the Divine. They have Divine chosen Irelia, and even are going for Irelia 3, not something that we see often, but the Jhin in the back is going to be a very, very good carry. Hopefully, they'll be able to get the components they want here, either a cloak or a belt. I think would be best because you might want a defensive, but that's going to be 2 Nikos and a cloak coming out there. So, kind of best case scenario for Riku, I think, right now. This is so good, actually. Maybe saved.
Yeah,
Definitely level
and
up right now. Agreed one. Okay.
definitely. Yeah, we should definitely be leveling up right now. We've got 2 Nikos, and so if
Oh,
we
this
hit
is so
1
perfect.
legendary, right, then we got a tier 2 legendary, and so we're gonna pick up 2, right? This is where option paralysis might happen, right? This is where you have a lot of options. Are you gonna Nico your Ashe? Are you gonna nope, we're gonna sell it instead. We're gonna put our Yone in, we take a Irelia out, and think about our 5 cost units. This is looking a little bit like a Bill Gates comp, is what I like to say, which is just a bunch of legendary expensive units.
Yeah.
Um, and so we might be pushing that a little bit because where Riku is right now, we could. And so we've got the 2 Nikos, so any 5 cost unit can power up this particular team comp, no problem.
Yeah, I actually like the of course Rico there was, a little slow on putting all the units on the board. Fortunately, the Wukong did go in at the end there when the round started, so 6 Divine was achieved. That's why Rico was holding that on the bench for so long. Okay, now just naturally rolling the set 2 there. I was gonna say I like the holding of the Nikos because once they find other legendaries or one more Warwick, then you can tier 2 multiple units there and not
Mhm.
just and they're also going for Aurelia 3, so they can get more things upgraded, and you're gonna have to lock for this Warwick here. I think it's be one Nico on the Aurelia right now, and then if you pick up the Warwick next round, the Nico
Mhm.
that I think would be really good. Riku does have still 53 HP, so they could sacrifice a bit more if they wanted to greed more Nikos out. But checking out Numano, and it's kind of similar here
Yeah, I was about to
in terms
say.
of what you want to do. It's just what's happening is going to be way worse. There's only Warwick 1 with 1 Runaan's. The Ashe has Thieves' Gloves, but it got one shot there, and these items weren't even good. This is a 7th for Nuano, it looks like. So the first time we've seen Nuano have a really rough start here, it looks like.
Totally. We usually see him come right back. Like even at 5 HP, we'll just sneak into second somehow. You blink and we're looking at Numano. But we are gonna finish in 7th place. As we also get another elimination at 6th place. So we have our top 5. Our top 4 is very, very close. The lobby has stabilized. ILikeHoboes has started to lose a couple of rounds in a row. Like I said, that meat wall, those beefy boys, Sir Thomas and friends can only do so much
Yeah.
in the late game when the damage is just obscene, especially when there's sets around. And the more health you have, the more damage the set's gonna do. And so that's unfortunate. But we're going to look at ILikeHoboes, who did commit to brawlers, and we didn't
Funny.
see a tier 3 brawler. We're gonna go ahead and use Seth in the front line, and see exactly how much damage we're going to put on those sand soldiers. And actually, not that much. Could have been a lot more, as Asian Gamer seems to be winning out this war of attrition that ILikeHoboes should be the expert in with this team comp. So when you're running ILikeHoboes team comp, where is that late game damage coming from? It's got to be Ashe, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really has to be. It's not going to be Kindred. The problem with brawlers in the late game is that they're a beefy force. They're a beefy frontline, but they don't actually like, do anything. You're just going to get to be versus things like we saw Asian Gamer have with a Z3 carry and other units that just kind of eventually delete the brawlers off
Hmm.
the board, and you're not going to have enough damage with just the Kindred to do anything about it. Even if that was an Ashe, honestly, with perfect items, it still wouldn't be enough in that regard. If his Zed ever jumps to the top of the Ashe and the Ashe dies, it's like, okay, those brawlers, they're fun. You're going to lose slightly longer amount of time, but you're still going to lose that round regardless. And now ILikeHoboes is kind of doing what you said because they were so strong. They greeted to go level 9, and I actually think that ILikeHoboes should have, if they wanted to do this, they should have been saving up a bit more gold, not leveled to 8 quite as aggressively because they only had 20 gold. I think if ILikeHoboes wanted to go fast 8, they should have had at least 30 gold before they did it, because they didn't really roll for anything. You still working with such that Kindred. Now you use all your econ to go 9, and you're just putting in one Ezreal, which is still like good, right? But you're still 2 Ashes away from Ashe 2. Um, and you're gonna want to find that before you transfer the items over from the Kindred.
Yeah, and so the Ezreal is going to function as a little bit of a healer in this particular situation. Yeah, we have
Yep.
Elderwood, but the big thing here is that there's no Dazzler proc, which actually would have been huge against
Oh,
this particular team. We might have been able to get it out. No, this Jin going to be a little too strong to start
yeah.
things off. This set ults, though, it is going to be very, very close, and it is going to be ILikeHoboes taking the dub there and getting a top 4 with a brawler comp. That, again, is going to get absolutely demolished by that single Lee Sin once we actually see it again.
Yeah.
But I'm really worried for ILikeHoboes in terms of top 2 potential.
Sure.
Um, we'll see what else happens through. As Asian Gamer, like you said, has been able to solidify and they get a top 4.
Yep, that's exactly what Asian Gamer always likes to do here. Going to see some Warwick comps in there. Not really a 3 finally coming online for Riku there. But back to ILikeHoboes, I actually, while this comp's not going to win, I don't dislike the fact that ILikeHoboes did this. I think it's, if you're going for like just a all in a top 4 to open the
Mhm.
day off with, like it's fine. You can go your 8 brawlers, you can run that Kindred, and you're just going to win, or not win, but get top 4 just off of the HP differential
Yeah.
you're going to save. It's probably a third or fourth place though right now. Is I think Riku is definitely stronger, and yeah, we'll see the result of that as the Warwick's gonna pop off there.
Oh man, it's like a Christmas show on the board right now with all of those Ezreals. We did get that Irelia 3, it looks like, and we do have the Deathblade QSS Hurricane on that Warwick. Love that item combination, just in general. We still only have a top 4, though, as ILikeHoboes has ended up hemorrhaging HP. And yes, part of that was on purpose, but, when I said this comp falls precipitously, right? This is what I meant. And he's very lucky that I think we got into the top 4. Not that lucky. I think this is a top 4 comp, but
Yeah, sure.
I think he kind of was like, you know what? I'm not going to win,
Yeah,
right? And I want points, and this is the best way to do it. And the great players, I think, are really good at identifying exactly when to do that rather than risking, oh, I might get first, but I could get seventh, right?
yeah.
It's just much better to get fourth, right? And then move from there because whatever this first point total that you're going to get is going to be what you're working with for the rest of the time. You're going to put yourself in a little bit of a box and know kind of exactly how to work with it. Who's leading? Who's not? Who's going to play spoiler?
Yeah.
And right now, I think being in the middle of the pack is a great way to kind of just hold your cards a little bit closer.
Interestingly enough, a lot of people do like playing that first Wraith style of play, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it bites you in the butt there. But for like Hobos, it's yeah, definitely. If I like Hobos had a bad start, it's not like you can pivot into the 8 brawlers and be like, okay, yeah, it's my power spike now, I'm gonna win. It's only that because they had such a good early game, preserved a lot of HP here. But Mood 2 still hasn't found Warwick because a lot of other Warwicks are taken. So there's just a Warwick 1, but they're on a 5 win streak regardless. I think it's gonna be a bit too weak going up against Warwick 2 from Riku there though. So Moo could fall in this fight, depending how many units were left. Didn't quite say, but yeah, they're gonna
Yeah.
fall.
Oof, man. I mean, both of these players actually, slowly but surely. Oh, this Ezreal! Oh, it whiffed! Oh, it whiffed! Oh no! Yeah, look at how upset we are. Yep, that that was. Whew. Okay, so that Ezreal did whiff whoever's that was last time, but it's going to be ILikeHoboes, the brawler comp, getting to get second place. Well, there was a lot of high rolling. There was a lot of expensive units. In the end, Cool Comp collected brawlers,
Yeah.
right, is going to be able to get you that top 4, that or even that top 2.
It's kind of a high roll for ILikeHoboes. I don't think you would expect to get a top
Totally
2
agree.
here. If you're ILikeHoboes, it's just to play for 3rd and 4th, but you've actually gotten to the point where you've won enough rounds that you can sell your brawlers off and actually get some units that do something on the board. And so Lilia 2 has been found, Ezreal 2 as well. You got a zillion in there. It's only tier 1, but still, like, there's actually a chance for ILikeHoboes to win, although I still don't think it's gonna be good enough to beat Riku's comp here. It's
Mhm.
just too good.
Yeah, that break point is like when those brawlers get into the back line, right? And they just aren't even making it. They're not very, very close. The set, though,
It's,
could
yeah, it's
potentially
possible.
change things around. It's going to be a 2v1 versus the set, but it seems like
Oh,
that Warwick is going to be able to go through it. And no, it's going to be ILikeHoboes taking the dub on that one. So those kind of changes from a brawler into a little bit more of that Bill Gates rich boy comp, right, is going to bring hope, maybe Hobos, a potential lobby win. That was an unexpected win,
yeah.
in my opinion. And honestly, in terms of like the simulations, I believe Hobo probably wins like 3 out of 10 of them, and we just
Yeah.
happen to see one of
Mhm.
those 3.
I think it's probably pretty accurate there. Sometimes the fight will just go your way like that. It depends on the Lilia sleeps there. It depends on when Set comes back and what he ults. And I think Set had a really good ult for Ali Kobos when he came back. Had that true damage and everything. Depends on Yone ults as well. There's Yone's on both sides of the board here. It's really just gonna be up to the sets and how they clean up. Or if Warwick actually dies from Rico here at the beginning, but it's gonna live for now.
This is going a lot better so far for Riku. Didn't quite catch exactly where those transitions were, and again, it could be ILikeHoboes moving their units around
There we go.
into a non-opportunistic space. But with that force of nature, with that Warwick, we're going to see Riku grab that 10-point lobby win. Very different lobby placement than I had expected coming in here as our top
Oh yeah.
3. 2 of them finish in the bottom 7. I yeah, the bottom 8, 7th and 8th, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, no, that's very, very interesting actually. Yeah, looking at the scoreboard here, Riku did get first place 10 points. I like Hobo's Asian Gamer. I expect them to do well. Second and third doesn't surprise me, but what does is yeah, Numano and Single Persona going seventh, eighth there, kind of holding hands down at the bottom. Not a start that we ever see Numano have. They're definitely always a great performance. They had probably like I don't know what it is. I haven't checked since the last time we were on Fight Night, but I believe Numano has something like a 75, 80, maybe even more, top 4 percentage here on Fight Night.
I at one point had an over 50% lobby win percentage,
Yeah.
in a fight night, and so I think this is actually really, really cool, not for Numano, but for us, in terms of how we're going to see him work through clawing up as opposed to being at the top, right? I actually believe the mentality that it takes is very, very different, and if we take a very similar mentality as when we're leading, we're going to struggle, but if someone's gonna be able to do it, I will never forget. Remember that Numano pivot like 2.5 weeks ago where he picked up that Eve and made himself so he actually let himself go to three different comps in the late game, dropped down to like 12 HP and then got second. Right, like that is something that Numano can do. You can never count him out. The thing with Hobos, right, who did get second, is fast starter. Really like starting strong. Every time we've seen the Hobos struggle at the beginning of a lobby, it tends to finish that way. So we also have this new group of people here that maybe we just don't know as much about, and so Numano likes to scout, and maybe we just didn't really see that scouting, but we got to see the Warwicks come through, something that we expected. Not a ton of ninjas. We did see Asian Gamer do very well with that Z comp. So again, we do have that variety. There are definitely things that are strong, but so far nothing that is coming across as mega dominant until we get to the late game where everyone's kind of moving into those 5 cost units.
Yeah, I think still like the top two comps that's seeming right now are the just the five cost, the legendaries, that as you say, the Bill Gates,
Yeah, the
uh,
Bill Gates comp.
yeah, the Bill Gates composition there, but also the Warwicks. I think Warwick's super dominant with the divines, and if you get to be able to itemize them with Runan's Deathblade, and the QSS as we saw, you could have Titan's Resolve on there. They're kind of a little bit interchangeable, I suppose you would say. But when those are getting going, it's just oftentimes too much to deal with there. When it's also paired with strong legendaries like Yone, like Set as well, that are just going to come in and do the rest of the damage. Even if Warwick does fall, like you can still win the fights a lot of the time there.
Sorry, I was just like really intrigued by how small those windows were. Anyway, Path of
Yeah.
Gaming is going to be who we're looking at. I believe our hair collectively could cover those windows. I have to say, we probably have the best hair out of any casting duo in esports. Just gonna put that out there.
Ooh,
Just gonna put that
you
out
know,
there. If anyone wants to challenge us, I'm willing. I am willing to take that challenge because we will win. Path of Gaming trying to do that same thing, win out. I love starting with sword personally, and in Rod, I feel like it allows you to think about options a little bit later. Allows you to be a little bit more free in the early game. You can go attack speed, or you can go something that's a little bit more attack damage oriented. Path of Gaming, I believe got fifth in our last in our last
yep,
lobby,
that's
and
correct.
so this is actually a pretty good spot to be in. Again, you know exactly what to do. You want to try if you're Path of Gaming to either match or beat fifth from here on out, because then you can arguably get to that top three. But it's all about how we're going to start things off, how we're going to manage our economy, including our HP, and what our team's going to look like when we get to Krugs, right? Because I feel like that's like the first really big opportunity that we as casters and an audience get to say, all right, this is what they're doing. This is what they're going to have a hard time with.
Definitely. You could already kind of see just the pacing of where everyone is at that point. Because, I mean, it's also maybe a little bit deceiving sometimes when you look at multiple players, because some players are going to look weaker in the early game. It's their play style, and some players are going to traditionally look just a lot stronger because they're really good at just
Mhm.
playing strong boards. Sometimes it'll be both, depending on, but I mean, for players like ILikeHoboes and like Numano specifically, definitely like those strong starts, like to be super strong by Krog. So if they're not, it's very worrying,
Yeah.
for most of them, definitely, as you were saying there. We have a
Mhm.
Warlord chosen for Path of Gaming in Italy, but probably not gonna be taken there. Wanted to find a TF for the third cultist, but isn't able to. Okay,
All
does
right.
take it actually. I don't know if I like this Nidalee pickup, to be honest, because not only do you not get any warlord buffs by having it in previously, you also have like zero synergies right now, and maybe you only play it for like until Krugs and then sell it at that point. But you don't even have three warlord, don't have three cultists. It's just a very awkward early game for Path of Gaming here. But they just want to preserve HP, I guess, because they slammed Ionic Spark on the Elise. They just want to, yeah, just kill as much units as possible with still losing, I think.
And I think that's going to end up working out based on who they're facing right now. Is whenever you see a Teemo, especially at this early game, and you're running something like a Warlord Chosen, you're like, "Ooh, free Yordle food,"
Yeah.
and that's exactly what we're going to see. It's going to be this Garen. I have seen Garen Chosen's 1v3 teams before. If like say you hit 10 gold on the one and you're just kind of throwing in the Garen Chosen just to take out down some units. I mean, if the units on the other side are mega weak and you get a nice spin to win, you can accidentally win that round. Because I
Yeah.
know some people like lose streaking at the beginning as I like to do, but it's on purpose. I'm inting. But Path the Gaming isn't going to be doing that, and because we leveled up a little aggressively, and because we got that Warlord Chosen, based on just damage, we out damaged our friend Boo, and so we're going to start off with a win.
Yeah, starting off with a win here, I think is okay, but this comp is definitely oh, okay. You have three Warden right now, which is solid, but no cultists. The Elise in the front line was super tanky last round, but it's going to eventually get out damaged here. Going up against Asian Gamer, who's level 5 on 2-2. That's super interesting here, and oftentimes a start that we will never see Asian Gamer go because we like, or they like going low HP in the early game and coming back from that point. So this is super, super interesting.
Hobos, strong start. Asian Gamer is looking at, let's see, have we picked up any We have not.
Nope.
So, this you're getting your witch Khroen. So this is Asian gamers starting off with not, I think what 6 Zeds by like 2-2
Yeah, no,
last time. So this is going to be a little bit more different. We might level aggressively, hopefully hold on to a win streak. The Warlord should help with that. But I love chosen Elise, pretty tanky early game unit, especially if it helps us get Galio out to do a little bit of to do a little bit of damage. We all love our friend Gary, you know.
yeah, definitely. So last second swap in there to have sharpshooter. Age Gamer thinks they need a bit more damage. They already have some tanky front lines with those couple of keepers there. Galio as well come down is a big tank, and I think that was the correct decision. I think that the sharpshooter is exactly what Asian Gamer needed there for a bit more damage, as that will lead to a round win. It looks like here.
Oh,
Okay,
I should say, yeah.
that's your miss, but I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I
actually,
don't know. It's a
our chosen Wukong. Okay,
that's
all
close.
right. Gotta love. That's why I love TFT. That specific kind of moment, right, is so fun, especially if it's not a Fiora. Because I feel like I see that so much. If you're like reposting right at the end, of course, Emily on honestly the worst lucked TFT day I've ever seen on Fight Night. But Asian Gamer doing exactly what we wanted it to see: a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of variability. And when you are starting to win streak here, you tend to want to stay on top of that. That's what we saw ILikeHoboes get to 9 with those brawlers. Asian Gamer could potentially do the same thing again. The curious part of us is, are we going to force Zed, right? A la, BM no scout from last
Yeah.
set, or are we going to do something a little bit different? Because we have a nice little cultist start, but this is the type of start that will look totally different in 7 rounds, right?
Yep.
We might not have any of these synergies in 7 to 8 rounds. So I'm really curious to see where we're going, especially since we got a belt to start things off with. That's gonna go potentially on a Morello's, but we do pick up the Zed.
Huh. Asian Gamer picking up the Zed here, not a surprise. The surprise, however, is going to level 6 on 2-5 and killing your econ. This is something that I think I mentioned them before actually. Firestone back in set 1 used to just level so stupidly aggressively, just like level 6, but before stage 3, level 7 at the beginning of stage 3, just like every time, or like roll to 0. And it was like okay, but not something that you would oftentimes go for at all. H Gamer really wants to win this round. If they win out, it'll be worth it. But if they ever lose, just say goodbye to the econ forever there.
Oh, and I think the unit spreading here is actually definitely helping Asian Gamer because exactly. You just saw it, right?
Yeah.
There was no way those cards were going to hit every unit and take them down, and this is going to work out. That was a little bit of a gamble though, because you never know in this part of the game who you're going to go see,
Oh,
right? Like everything on the right is a little bit of a mirage, right? Like that's all just economy. I look at it as economy at this point in time. Once we kind of hit after Wolves, that's when all right, you're looking bad right now. So Asian Gamer absolutely needs to win this round too.
yeah.
Right? It's not just
Important.
that last round because he bought something. He needs to win this round too to get over 10 gold, and that's why pros love to econ, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. You can sell all those units for 10 gold, but we don't want to if we're Asian
Yeah.
Gamer.
Asian gamer selling a Zed? Ooh, not likely there. I do like buying the team out here actually. It makes you a little bit stronger on board and secures the win streak, even though you can't make 10 gold. Say if the Vayne was still in, then you can sell the Teemo Thresh and get 10 that way. But you're gonna net gain more gold for making sure the win streak still happens because you're gonna get 3 gold from this round, you're gonna get 3 gold from the next round as well. And yeah, if that Teemo wasn't in, if that Vayne was in, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't make the difference there. The level 6 is the big difference here, honestly. But they're offered some better units, like a Cassiopeia. That doesn't really fit into Asian gamers' agenda here, but for someone else, they might have gone for that.
Well, and usually
Oh, actually, that.
aggressively when you aggressively level, you are usually trying to get a little bit more out of those units, right? So you might end up finding like 1 cost, 4 cost, or like tier 1 4 cost units to try to up the level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Asian Gamer did actually sell the Zed, but has also now just slammed the RFC. They have an Evelyn in there for some shades. I think they actually might have just sold for econ, but they could have waited to see if they get other units to sell for econ there. Um, Very, very interesting actually, Rage Gamer here. But I mean, if they do end up
Classic.
going, yeah, if they do end up going Zed and Ninjas, then like it's just Asian Gamer playing it. It's just like the best
Yeah.
Zed player right now by far. So
This is what I would call a classic TFT conundrum, right? Like where you could go 3 different ways, right? Numano wants this, but for me, right, my brain is black or white, right? It's like you either do this or this. And in this situation, it's really, really hard to kind of see the different nets, the networks that could potentially be created by going certain directions.
yeah.
We don't have any like strong carries right now. We're kind of just best in board. Galio is our carry, kind of, with a little bit of that extra attack damage. Our RFC Morellos on our Nidalee is good. And if you're wondering how this team in particular, with only a couple tier 2 units, with the Galio, is finding itself so successful, this is what a lot of the times what we mean by best board,
Hey
best in
guys,
slot. Asian Gamer, though, is in a position that they're probably not really used to, which is on top of the leaderboard because the type of game he likes to play takes HP. And
Yeah.
so we either just commit to going something else and something that we're not familiar with, or we force something. And that's like the best thing to see as a caster, right? Is a player like this, what it looks like to force a comp versus trying to be a little bit more flexible. And then we can say,
Yeah.
hindsight is 2020 at the end of the game and say, all right, where should we have gone? And that's where we are with Asian Gamer right now.
Yeah, I was so curious if Asian Gamer was gonna level up to 7 here and maintain this aggressive leveling pattern, and they do. They go level 7, but they still have 10 gold, honestly. So the catching up of Econ was pretty solid there, and they're gonna catch up again if they're able to win streak out because these extra units in, they're always providing some slight synergies. They put the Warlord in with the Garen, now they're putting Vanguard in with just the tier 1 Wukong there, but you're also getting to econ breakpoints every round. They're at 10, now they're at 20, etc. So honestly, it's not going to be too I guess discouraging to actually do that route.
Yeah.
You're also able with now the Thresh and the Vayne to put 2 Dusk in. It's going to buff up that Nidalee so that a lot of the times we see her in these rounds like just barely not kill a unit, but now with the extra spell power, she'll be killing units more often. So I kind of like this Mage Gamer a lot.
Yeah, we're kind of there was like a slight period of time where people thought like holding like 20 to 40 gold was kind of the play, like back all the way in set one, right? Where people weren't exactly like, okay, where do I roll down to? What are the
Yeah.
best numbers to get there? And we're kind of sitting there. Of course, you want to get to over 50, but 20 gold, 7 game win streak feels low, but we're also at level 7 as you look at single persona on the other side, only 10 more gold, but level 6.
And I'm just imagining like with this aggressive leveling, so what if like Asian Gamer just like high rolls and gets legendaries already online? That would just be so good. Like imagine there's a Kane in the next shop and you already have RFC, because RFC still is a really good item for Kane as well. You don't just need to lock into only playing Zed with that. Yeah, so you have some options and you're already aggressively leveling. I'm sure Asian Gamer is gonna, if they keep the win streak going, aggressively level to 8 as well, and you're gonna have a higher chance to roll those legendaries at that point. I think it's a 5% now, I believe, at level 8, if I'm remembering correctly. But either way, though, Edge Gamer's holding pattern definitely leads to finding better units earlier on.
We got a lot of spatulas that are going to kind of just stick around for now. Riku is going to use that Morgana most likely for something else. Morgana's actually not a bad unit to have spat on. You get 4 gold too. So Asian
Yeah.
Gamer's still chilling at 100 HP. We're getting closer, I think, to where this Nidalee is going to start being overpowered by other units on
Oh,
the
yeah.
other side. But this is a very early, 7-1 roll down, get to it's not 7-1, 4-1 roll down, you level to 7, you roll down, we're already there. So we can totally just hold our money until we get enough money to get to 8, and then just pump out maybe a Bill Gates comp. And we do have a spat to help out with synergies with some of those higher tiered units too. Or we could keep going cultist, we could keep going sharpshooter, we could switch off and maybe go into a Zed comp because we like to, with some assassins being left in the shop. Maybe not a full like ninja assassin comp, but we have the Eve, right? That's probably for cultist right now. Man, I just am very intrigued as to see where this can be going, because this is very anti Asian gamers usual play style.
Oh yeah, no, it very much is. I think there I think there needs to be a rolled at level 7. I mean, okay, Asian Gamer could greed for level 8, right? They have 100 HP, they have the resource there to work with. The thing is, you talk about, going legendary comps at level 8. It's gonna be hard to do in general, but it's gonna be harder to do now because the other percentage did go down by 1% finding legendaries, and it is going to matter a little bit. When it comes to capping out your comp at level 8, you definitely want to be able to go 9. And with Asian Gamers start here, it's very much so. I want to eventually go level 9 so I can then get legendaries. We know Asian
Mhm.
Gamer is comfortable with doing that. They are known to do that. They still, run Zeds regardless a lot of the time, but they're no stranger to, if they have a start such as this, to go for that
Mhm.
or fast 9.
And if you guys are curious as to where you can find all of our players and ourselves on Twitch as well, you can just hover your mouse over the screen on Twitch and follow them, and see what they're thinking on their casts too. And so Asian Gamer is someone that we've seen a lot of so far. I definitely want to see. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Slowly but surely, it just really seems like the power is just getting lower, right? From
Yeah.
winning by 5 units, now we're winning by 2 units, right?
Hmm.
And 1 unit.
They want you to
And so yeah, Asian Gamer's still winning, but
okay.
our power level is definitely fading. We have a ton of
Yeah.
money right now, which is a gamble that has paid off more so than anything else. Remember, we had to win twice to get to 10 gold not too long ago, about 10 rounds ago, actually. So
Hmm.
we're not 10 rounds. It's been 10 rounds, about like 6 rounds ago, I would say. But it looks like we're going to be pushing cultists right now. We have an extra sharpshooter for when uh, maybe we hit that gen a little bit later. Nidalee is going to fall off. I like the CC from Jinx a little bit more, and our items kind of suck.
Yeah,
So
ours
that's
really suck
oh
actually if you're
no.
trying to go a carry unit there. I'm curious to see what Asia Gamer does here, if it's rolled down or a sit, but after that point, I definitely want to check out some other perspectives,
Mhm.
maybe even Numano, because Numano once again is dropping a bit lower in HP in these lobbies, and yeah, it looks like Asia Gamer is not really going to be rolling down here. But Numano is okay. They had a lot of duelists earlier, and he's still sticking with duelists, but this composition looks so awkward right now. You buy the Cannon Chosen just to stabilize here, but you're level 7 with 0 gold. Maybe honestly, it's probably too early to say this, but it kind of looks just like to not be Numano's patch right now. Numano seems very uncomfortable with playing this patch to their his usual play style here. This round is going to be a round win, it looks like, but it's still looking a little bit shaky here.
Well, it's also against, in my opinion, another weak comp, right? In
Yeah,
this, in the that is matchup dependent win, in my opinion,
for
for
sure.
new mono. And you can, man, I love talking about mouse movement in TFT because it seems so stupid, right? But even in that situation, just we so much intent for Numano. We've seen him make like 60 moves in 30 seconds before,
Yep.
right? That is a little bit, that might not actually be an exaggeration, right? But now we're moving into what Numano likes to play, which is Ashe, right? Ashe has been a little bit of a struggle. Ashe will always be good, all out KL from last set, right? But there are a lot more mechanics, a lot more units that are able to get to her a little bit faster, especially with Zed being so popular in that last patch. So Numano loves running this Ashe and has some amazing luck when it comes to, or I guess is really good about opportunity meets preparation and what shows up in the shop, and is really good at identifying best in slot as well. But this is going to be another hard fought potential win or loss right now for
Mhm.
Numano. It is going to be a loss, but at least it was only to like 1.5 units
Yeah,
with that Galio.
it's not too bad for Numano. It's actually really good for Asian Gamer because Asian Gamer did level up to 8 aggressively and is still on 40 gold. So getting that round win just makes Asian Gamer so much stronger when it goes to fast nining here. But Numano, not even on 20 gold right now, is still level 7 here. And the Warwick has been found. So like these items kind of want to go on Warwick a bit later on. The Deathblade, the Runans especially, you're still going to get at least 2 item components, one from this next carousel and then at least one from the Raptors. But unless it's like exactly a Titans or exactly a QSS, even the Warwick will be not as strong as he needs to be to carry Numano out from here.
Right. Man, so the other thing about Numano too is usually he's not contested like this, right? And this is actually the second time we've seen him go up against a very similar team comp, right? That is just better than his. It happened last lobby, and it's happening this lobby in the rivalry. I like Hobos and Numano 1 HP away from each other. It just feels right, even though both are in the bottom four. If history proves us right, I like Hobos might finish in the bottom four with Numano this time around. We might be seeing a new top three. Numano does not seem to be as confident. You're right, has played a lot of TFT this week as well. Remember, he did do the qualifiers on
Yep.
Monday and honestly had a little bit of a heartbreaking moment there. I believe there were 5 people eligible for the win on the last lobby on Monday, and
Wow, that's
it ended
crazy.
up being Marcus, but Numano was there. And that was kind of Numano's like big first major like big tournament since I believe some of the qualifiers last set, and got third, which is great for someone like Numano. But you practice so hard for that, you come to fight night, and you might be exhausted. It's been the holidays, and talking about fatigue, we never know, right? If that's true, but I
Sure.
sense there isn't that same feeling of bread and butter when it comes to Numano on this particular patch.
Yeah, it doesn't seem so. I mean, the hotfix as well. I'm not sure what Numano was running just going into the 0.24 patch, but with the hotfix, maybe it's changed some stuff up. Maybe it's just a couple of low roll games, perhaps. I mean, this
Happens.
game does look kind of low roll as well. I was actually looking at Numano's gold earlier when he's level 5. It was like level 530 gold, and some people were Asian gamers definitely on level 6 at that point. It was still like 20 gold, so definitely was just a bit behind from the opener here. Their HP is still like middle of the pack, but when you're behind when it comes to gold and you're still middle of the pack, you're probably going to be towards the bottom end there unless you high roll some really good chosen eventually. And Riku here proving to make I think some good decisions again. I think already the divine spat on the chosen kindred there is a super good carry at this point, and Riku is sitting around that middle of the pack HP with 50 right now, and that's exactly kind of like what you need. Riku choosing the chosen there to just get through that early to mid stage and then transition it later on when they've acquired enough gold to actually make that transition good is I think they're playing it really well.
We're getting some 5 cost units on the board in this lobby. Path of Gaming, who we started with, in last place right now. Numano in 7th. ILikeHoboes on fire, at least. And again, HP isn't necessarily exactly where people are. Our strongest comp might be ILikeHoboes in 6th place currently. Asian Gamer, we know, was going to get weak at some point. It's all about that pivot out of that kind of cultist mixed comp. And even with this Timo helping out, even with Kennen actually getting some good ults, we keep barely losing
Yeah.
these rounds. We just don't quite. So many times I've seen these ults from Numana go off and not quite killing. Right, and Numana needs to change that somehow. You got a Hodge on Timo. That's not best case scenario. We're not hitting our Warwicks. We usually hit even when things are contested. Numana's usually the one that gets those units. So this is a very different place to be, and I'm intrigued to see where we're going to go, where the decision making is going to go, because I know I can get really trapped in my head at this point and just be like, screw it, man, right? Like the world just doesn't like me. I'm just going to do a fast 7th and 8th. We actually saw a little bit of that mental break with Numano a couple weeks ago when he tried to surrender before winning a round, right?
Yeah, and actually, we asked him about it in the interview. He was like, "Oh yeah, no, I got like so lucky to get to like top 4 of that game. Like I didn't deserve to get like top 4 of that game." He said it was like the 3 divine spats, I believe it was, right?
Yep.
It was that game, which is super super interesting. I was gonna say, I think at this point, with the amount of gold that Numano had going to this round, usually the board is a lot stronger for what that gold looks like, because Numano is not a stranger to rolling pretty aggressively on level 7 and stabilizing there. It is notably worse to do that in this patch, and the strength I don't think just was there. However, the composition is starting to shape up to look really good. There's gonna be that Kane in right now with a Hodge is super good items and triple items Warwick, but there's no defensive items in the Warwick. So if he gets CC'd like so, okay, oh yeah, he dies like so, then it's still gonna be around losses.
Mm-hmm. Tier 2 Warwick for
Yeah.
single persona. And again, Numano beat single persona the last time they met. And this just goes to show how little improvement in terms of power level has happened
Hmm.
for Numano, who doesn't even have a chosen on the board just yet. We hit level 8, so we might get a 4 cost chosen. Ooh,
I
but we
mean,
don't have any. We don't have any money. We have no
yeah,
money.
kind of just can't afford to go that one. There'll be no items for it either. There's going to be only 4 divine instead of 6 divine. You get 2 mystic out of the zillion, like that's solid, but the chosens just aren't there. Like relying talent, like talent's not really a unit anymore. People don't go. Looking at Asian Gamer here, yes, Asian Gamer has gone level 9, is playing Z1, and has like Kane 2 right now. It's just that's Asian Gamer for you.
Yeah, you might think, oh wow, Numano is actually holding up pretty good here. And we're gonna play Ring Around the Rosie in just a second. And actually, this is
All
classic
right.
Numano, classic Numano. The second we doubt, it's like doubt powers him. Everyone doubted
Yeah.
that. That was a little bit of a lucky run. I guess Shade Kane could be better. And now, because you've seen a Shade Cane, that's 3 canes out of the pool. That means that you are going to be competing for what's left. And I'm curious to see if we're going to pick up that other cane, as other people
Yeah.
might have 2 canes. For an example, it's going to take one of them to die before you can finish your tier 2 cane.
This is so awkward. Numano has so many pairs and wants to finish all of them right now, but doesn't even have the gold to buy both the Shen and the Kane right now. Some sacrifices I think have to be made, because Numano loses like one more round badly or 2 more rounds, then it will definitely fall here. And while I think that last round was actually really lucky for Numano, I think Asian Gamer was kind of trolling, didn't have all the items on the board. The transition was just a little late, I guess I'll say for sure. But yeah, Numano gonna lose by what, like 5 units here? It's looking pretty rough. Oh,
Yep.
actually, yeah, that's actually enough. I
8th
thought it was
place.
gonna
That's
lose
the first
one, but
ever
yeah.
8th for Numano in Fight Night.
Mhm.
So we might actually interview someone else today. And so
Look,
Single Persona, who was on the bottom of the leaderboard not too long ago, is now winning. This has been a hectic Fight Night. Usually the same couple people do really well across a couple of lobbies. ILikeHoboes, I think, is and Riku are the 2 that are kind of stepping up, in my opinion. And with Numano kind of not having a good day, that creates kind of like a vacuum of opportunity when it comes to the rest of the lobby to get into that top 3. It used to just be Numano, Hobos, and third place, right? Now
yep.
Numano and even Hobos I think is going to top 4 again, based off of what I saw in some of the scouting. But, Hobos also finished 4th last time. So this could be a very, very interesting lobby as we get after halftime, as we move forward. But we still have to complete this one single persona on a little bit of a win streak. But at this point in time, 30 HP is not as safe as it was a little while ago. 30 HP is still just 2 losses once we get past this NPC round.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough for some players with low HP right now, and that is most of most of the lobby, I guess I would say. Um, see single persona having the 45 on a win streak, and their comp is still really, really solid. They have 6 divine, have that Warwick 2 already online, and with the amount of Warwicks people are trying to contest, it's so hard to actually find a Warwick 2. The items aren't optimal, but they're still gonna be functional enough to take a lot of round wins, and it looks like single persona is going to take out Path of Gaming here.
Single persona trying to ooh, I like that dance.
Yeah.
Was doing a little bit of a Warwick impression, I think. Oh,
That's
yeah, keep it going, man. Remember, this man eats a smoothie with a spoon. So
true.
I so I would assume that the dance moves are going to be a little
Gonna be wild.
polarizing as well. Who eats
I
a smoothie with a spoon? Anyway, um I can't believe I also
cannot
just
bring
like
it back.
remember that and felt the need to tell everyone. But 45 HP is actually not a lot at the top of the lobby. I love it when things get this close because again, 45 HP is 3 losses. It can come from anywhere. That Yone ult was not good. We're gonna have to get a full Yone ult once again, and that one is not ever going to happen. I believe maybe got CC'd. But this Warwick is very, very strong. The Death Blade is only going to make him even stronger. The
Yeah.
extra life steal is going to be better. We're going to kick him out real quick. 45 HP still going on as we get another elimination. As I said, not that free. Mutu will end up getting 4th. And we've got Riku, Asian Gamer, ILikeHoboes, and Single Persona. I believe this is 3 out of the last top 4 as well. So we do have that consistency. It's just
Yeah.
Numano's not there.
Yeah, everything is like kind of shaping out as we'd expect, except Numano being the outlier there, and it's probably one of the least expected outliers to
Yeah.
have out of all of them. What we're seeing right now here, a 7th into an 8th, like Numano still maybe could get top 3. Probably won't win from this start here, and it still is unlikely to get top 3 from this spot here. But if anybody can pull it back and can manage it out of this lobby, it would be Numano though.
Mhm. All right, we have like one of my man. I want Yumi to be good, but I know if Yumi is like a standard part of any composition, everyone's gonna hate it, and
Yeah.
it'll be so annoying. But early on, I mean, I saw my first Yumi 3 the other day,
Oh,
and that was annoying. I had a Rage Blade on it for some reason. It was like the end of the game, and I believe like that person had been running Fortune, which is why everything was tier 3.
gotcha.
But
Makes
still,
sense.
yeah, Yumi 3 is intense, man. You don't need attack speed if you've got a Yumi 3. Um,
She's just built in attack speed for and a lot of healing too there.
yeah.
Even Yumi 2 is gonna be solid when it comes to if Yumi's ever able to buff up the Warwick, that's gonna be really, really strong. But
I mean,
not
more
happening this
attack
right
speed
now.
is more DPS, right? And it's going to be all up to this Warwick who is unable to get a single kill. I like Hobos so strong right now. I believe that was an Ezreal too on the other side as Asian Gamer finishes in the top 4 without running Zed. But look
Uh,
at how the Mighty Have Fallen was on a 10-game win streak and ends up getting 4th place. Without that
yeah.
10-game win streak and that aggressive leveling, I don't think Asian Gamer gets top 4.
I mean, they did have a Z in when we saw them. It was the Z1. That's where all the items went to. Maybe that's why it's a 4th place, is because it's only a Z1. However, when you had the option of putting items on a Kane 2, I'd be curious to check, post game screen. I'll probably, once we go to break, I'll make sure to look at what Asian Gamer ended the comp with, because that'll be very interesting. We are into our top 3 right now with Riku, the winner of game number 1, still being consistent right now, and with single persona, and ILikeHoboes. It'd probably be one of them in the winning this lobby. They're probably top
Mhm.
twoing. Riku only has 1 loss left, and this round right now is so close. Single persona, the Jax and the ZZ Rod. Can the ZZ Rod take out the Ash? No, not.
If I were playing, it would have for some reason. I feel like whenever I play Ash or who's like really bad about this? like, I feel like Jinx will just not do. Oh, Lissandra, I think, is way bad about it, where they just kind of stand there like for a second and they're like, wait, what do I do? And then they start attacking. That's what my Ash would have done. The beetle would have killed me, but everyone within less than 10 HP right now. I like Hobos at 8, the other two at 14. This is a big deal for single persona, especially with the last lobby's, I believe, 8th place, trying to counteract that to try to fish for a top 4 and come back for a 3rd week. Single persona might fall victim to our. We have a couple curses here. It's the 4th lobby curse for Hobos and the 3rd week curse for most other people. It's very, very hard to come back for 3 weeks just in general in a game like TFT, but someone is going to get eliminated on this round, and that Deathblade on that Ash is stacking up so quickly, and they're going to lose to that Ash 2 times in a row. 2 people get eliminated, and Riku find themselves on top. Very impressed with Riku's play so far. Would love to start on his POV after the break, but Riku should be in first place after we look at these scores.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. That is such an impressive start, Riku, player that I didn't know too much about coming in here. It's like, okay, the top 4 for sure, single persona, new mono, I like Hobos and Asian gamer, but we've been impressed by had some surprises. Been impressed by Rico for sure, and surprised by the new mono, of course. And that game, ended very, very suddenly there. I wanted to talk about a bit more about those comps, so maybe we'll do it after the break. But let's take a look at the scores after 2 games here. And Riku, with the back-to-back first places, of course, is going to be in the lead right now. When you talk about it, sometimes they're on par to break the record right now when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to fight night. The record
Yep.
is that
36.
36, yeah, 36
Yep.
points with 2 firsts and 2 seconds. ILikeHoboes is still on par to perhaps win fight night, is a bit behind but has 15. Asia Gamer with 13, Mutu with 10. But looking down at Numana with only 3 points, like
It's
you'd never
real
believe
life.
this. Yeah.
I know, right? We're not overselling this at all. Numano has, I believe, won 6 out of 7 weeks of fight night that they've participated in. We interview them a lot. I consider him a good friend at this point in time. Based on how much time we've had with them on the interview, but him in 8th place. I'm very interested to see how we handle this.
Yeah.
We've never seen him in this position, and the greats need to be able to claw their way back and make something happen. And Numano needs to figure out how to do just that. No rest for the weary right now.
Oh no, no rest at all. But we're gonna get a little bit of rest right here. Just 5 minutes here on Fight Night Rising, but we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll find out who's gonna win for this week. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to Fight Night Rising. We've had two games thus far and two more to go. Have enjoyed what the competition so far. A couple surprises when it comes to new monos placements right now. I actually want to take a quick look at the scoreboard again so we can kind of see where everything is shaping up here when we go into game. And it's Riku with 20 points right now, back to back first. We don't see players do that very often here, Boop, let alone players that are new to Fight Night.
hmm I mean, the last two people I feel like I saw do that were ILikeHoboes and Numana, who are in this
Yep.
lobby. So that should tell you exactly how well our friend Riku is playing so far today. Very controlled and honestly a little under the radar. I think across all things, was playing something just very standard, playing Wardwick. I think both lobbies and won both lobbies, and that is to be expected. I think some
Yeah.
people try really, really hard to be fancy when it comes to this game, right? And sometimes you just got to go the Asian gamer way, right, or the Riku way, and just be like, I know what I want to play, and I'm just going to play that. And so
Yeah.
far, it's been Warwick for Riku, and that's been 2 wins, and for Asian gamer, it's been 2 top 4s so far.
Like, you can only be so flexible in a meta. I know a lot of people I'm just going to use this example, were praising Mismatch Songs for being super flexible gamer always getting to 2 KLP. But if you look at Mismatch Songs' at match history, it actually wasn't like super, super flexible. It would trended towards like a certain like 3 comps usually. And in a meta like this with Warwick, you're going to play the early mid game flexible, but you're going to still gravitate towards running that Warwick in the late game. It's just how well that you played to get to that point, what what time you rolled down for to get the Warwick 2 if you're gonna be stuck on Warwick 1. And if you are, because we have seen players still be stuck on Warwick 1, but how else you're able to improve your comp at that point to still maintain some win streaks. And we know that players can do it. It's just like half the lobby's going to go Warwick, right? So like, what are you going to do against that? You can maybe go a bit
Mhm.
Dusk Riven. If you have a super strong start, you can go legendaries, but even then, you're not guaranteed to still come out with a lobby win there.
Totally. And the other thing about Warwick that you have to understand too, if you're watching and why this is so good, is because of the traits. Right, he's a
Yeah.
triple trait unit, brawler, hunter, and divine, and two of those traits are pretty good. And so, Hunter is going to give you that percent damage on top of the percent damage you're already doing after you ult. But also, that Divine is going to give 50% damage reduction at the beginning of a round. And when you have damage reduction, when you have QSS, you've got a little bit of dodge, right? You're going to get your first ultimate off. And that is kind of like the key is if you can kill Warwick before Warwick ults and start stacking that Deathblade, right? And it's just been really, really hard, especially if you have a QSS, you can't CC him, right?
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Go tit for tat on damage?
Mhm.
Maybe like if your Jin targets Warwick on your first 4 to 8 shots,
Yeah.
but during that time you're also life stealing if you get to your ult. So it's very complicated in which how do you counter something like Warwick, right?
Exactly.
Because you have straight damage mitigation, a straight true damage situation, but also a good strong ultimate that buffs other people and good base stats.
Yeah, it's just kind of all there. Talk about the 3 traits as well. Warwick is oftentimes going to be paired with, like, in the late game, have a set in there as well. It's going to give a little bit of HP boost and then damage
Mhm.
reduction from behind. It's like you're not going to get one shot even. Talk about Jin, being a counter if Jin's 4 shot goes on there. But you kind of need to be like a Jin 3 to one shot
Yeah.
Warwick. Jin 2s like aren't even going to do that. Then Warwick with lifesteal is just going to lifesteal back, fear everything around, and just kind of clean up from there. Part of the reason that Warwick is so strong right now, and then just ramp up with that death blade as well. It's oftentimes just too good to get through. There's something that really counters it in the meta right now, honestly. And to talk about how do you counter it with another Warwick? Probably it's just
Yeah, and that happened the last time we were in this situation, right? Where I think when I think when a comp becomes so strong, right, that the only counter is itself, right, and then the itemization power, that'll matter there. I like that kind of counterplay, right? That's why Warweek for me, well, for a lot of people was a really dark time. I liked kind of seeing like itemization was almost exact during War Week when it came to your Morganas and your Warwicks and your Talons, right? But the once we are here, I think we're seeing a little bit more variety because the components are a little bit more have a little bit more variety, even though you have your 2 swords for Deathblade. But some people are forgoing that QSS. Some people are totally cool. If your lobby doesn't have a ton of CC, you don't really need it. But I think the best way to take down that Warwick is mid round CC, which
Yep.
like 2 units have, right? Dazzler could potentially help, but when you already have, that 140 stacked Deathblade, like how much is that really helping, right? So you need to max out on the Dazzler in order to that. So you're totally right. True damage on the way back might be worth it. Lee Sin could be a very good counter, but Lee Sin's also in that comp, right? So it's again, you counter this with the same thing, or we try to top four with something else. Is what it feels like. But Fight Night has definitely shown us that that's not what will happen. Sometimes it's definitely happened so far in the first two lobbies today, but we've usually been moderately anti-meta here.
Yeah, a bit. I was thinking about a lot when you said like this the amount of mid CC that happens. I was thinking, I was like, there's a decent amount of mid fight CC. There's like Sejuani, Kennen, Azir, even like Set. I guess could be a mid fight CC. Of course, his targeting is not going to be always there, but like Yone as well. I guess there's not too many outside of those though. I'm definitely missing a couple there, but there still is option to be able to deal with the Warwick
Mhm.
there. It's just you need like such a good rest of your composition as well as those units that are
Yeah,
living in before Warwick will just kill everything. Like a lot of stuff needs to go very well to even counter the Warwick. And even if you hit that mid fight CC, right? If you have even like 6 divines, even the Warwick gets CC'd, he might not get one shot. That damage reduction is
you
gonna
need a
be
second thing of CC.
yeah, you need like a lot of them together paired up. And I guess like that's something we're talking about when it comes like there's not enough of that
Yeah.
to take out the Warwicks there. And I think that is very, very very interesting. And that's in just saying why there's so much Warwick just in the meta right now.
I think someone knows they're on camera. Anyway, I think the last thing that we can kind of belabor on when it comes to that Warwick comp is again the counter aspects aren't really quite there, and when you do have the counter it's pretty inconsistent. Like I don't know if you're familiar with the term like 50-50 in the FGC community, right? But it's just like you might block it 50% of the time or it might hit you 50% of the
Yeah.
time, and that seems to be closer to where we're at instead of this is a direct counter to Warwick, right?
Hmm.
We're definitely still moving that direction, and last patch we actually had a little bit of late in the week movement, right? When it came to, or a couple patches ago, when it came to natural patch movement. And we could potentially have that here. I just think divine is one of those traits that is going to either be really, really good, right? Especially for someone like Warwick, or it's just something that we see at the early game when we see like Wukong Jax, right?
Yeah.
Um, as of right now, Warwick is flavor of the month, and we'll see how long that's going to last. I'd prefer it be Warwick than Zed, honestly. Personally, I think I feel better losing to Warwick, but
Yeah.
it might become like a numbers thing as this becomes a little bit more popular. We're really close to another patch anyway, so um, whatever happens is going to be temporary, and Warwick is going to be around if you want to gain some LP. It's not like the most difficult comp to play either.
Definitely not. A couple of things here. I was actually tuning into. I wanted to see what Riku's like stream title was, or just like what is happening on his stream, and his stream title is actually just hit Warwick Smile. So we know that Riku is going to very much so go this Warwick. They've gone it for 2 games in a row here. They're gonna try to go for it again. The early game here is a bit awkward. You're not really gonna commit to a Moonlight or a good Night Moon composition because a lot of Moonlight uh, nerfs did come through recently
Whew.
in patches.
They got hit hard. Diana got hit hard.
Yeah, unfortunate because it was a fun comp, I think, to be in the meta if it was viable. It's a bit frustrating. It's like, okay, once it reaches its power spike, it's just like too strong. It's gonna win out until like the
Yeah.
very, very late game. But still, I like it being there in the meta, and we're really not gonna see that, I suppose, from anybody here, apart from maybe in Aphelios if someone's feeling a little frisky. We could see that itemized. It might be able to deal with some Warwicks. But
Yeah.
usually we're not gonna see that happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing about like hunters specifically, right? They've always been kind of good for picking off units like that. Say, Warwick gets a little bit, excited, right? Takes a little bit of damage, and the hunter procs go on him second or third, right? That can definitely help. But again, inconsistent. right? It's not something that you can guarantee. And when it comes to this level of play, you're looking for that consistency. You're looking for not 50-50s, you're looking for like 75-25s, right? Things that you can depend on. And right now, when it comes to fighting that Warwick mid round, it really does seem to be the other Warwick that is able to take them down. And that's only because you had more health when you started fighting. Right
Yep.
on that last 1v1, again we shall see. I think a 4 Dazzler comp could potentially help bring that power level down, but 4 Dazzler doesn't really appear until we have like 2 or 3 people left,
Yeah.
and only if you get in our since Talon's not good, you're going to see less Morgana.
Yep.
And so that's like the other thing. If Talon was still a good comp, right? We definitely see Warwick in that comp too, but we might see a little bit more variation on. All right, we have the Morg here on this version. On another one, we have another one. But right now, I think what we need to be thinking about is how we get rid of that Warwick if we're in this lobby, and the best way, the best slot items to do it, and the best units, because that late game CC is going to be very, very important to do just that. You want your Sedge ult twice if you really want that Warwick to fall.
Definitely, and if you think about it, the first one, yeah, if the QSS is there, first one's not going to do anything. The second one, it'll be great if it happens to actually reach a second cast there, but Warwick's going to be tearing through the front line before he goes to the back line, so that
Yep.
Sejuani might just be dead at that point as well. So it's just what can you do against it? In my mind, I think it's just like usually just going to be legendaries, but you need a good start for that though. So, I mean, good starts. We'll see if any player is able to have one of those large win streaks right here. Riku has been on the top side of the lobby for most of the past couple of games here, and a good start to this one, I think, already as well. You have the Diana 3 on field with the Moonlight buff, but actually gets stunned out there and does.
Diana 3 was Diana just got nerfed so hard
Yeah.
on level 3 and 4. Like they just kind of were like, let's put her in the shed for a little bit. And like we'll
Wait.
like tinker around and bring her back soon. Because remember, set 4.5 is very close.
Yeah.
Mort was saying that almost most of the team is working on that set in particular. We did just get Elderwood skins as well. I don't know if you noticed.
No.
Zaya
Yeah.
and Rakan got Elderwood skins, so we might see them come into the game. We might see some transitions from units in one synergy going into another one, but keeping their ults, for example. So yeah, like we definitely have some really cool stuff coming up. But currently, with some of these changes, something else that we actually haven't really seen is like almost everybody was running 3 fortune starts 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Not a ton of that right now.
No, barely any. I think I actually haven't personally noticed anyone in the past couple of games running Fortune. Um, See if anyone actually ends up doing that here. But Riku is going to commit making a
Interesting.
void on the Diana, which makes me think Riku might want to keep the Diana for the whole game. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's like the only other unit that item is like super good on is going to be Katarina, maybe a Kayn as well. Unless there's
Hmm.
others I'm not thinking about, but no, I'm pretty sure there's like just the only other two.
Ooh, I don't know the exact numbers, but I believe it was like over 100 less shielding at level 4, and I do believe there was a pretty significant nerf at the tier 3
Yep.
Diana as well. I believe it was like 675 to like 4 something at tier 4. But at least the Hextech Gunblade, you can itemize her to kind of mimic that type of situation, right? Hextech Gunblade is a great way to do just that. You get the shield upon shield, which is really good. But just the durability, you're not really going to see Diana face tank 4 units anymore.
Yeah.
That's what they didn't want, and so definitely a lot more gonna be more durable with this Hextech Gunblade, but is never going to be as durable as she was 2 weeks ago.
Yep. Definitely. And yeah, looking at the numbers there, Diana, the tier 3 Diana damage numbers went down from 450 to 400, and the tier 4 went down from 650 to 500 on that Pale Cascade. So
Yeah.
definitely both noticeable at that tier 4 and 3 margins.
It forces you to put items on other Moonlight units, and so I think that's cool to like kind of balance. Like, all right, who am I going to put other items on? We're going to be getting some higher cost units a little bit later. Be intrigued to see if we pick up a Talon on that assassin front. I didn't expect to see any Goodnight Moon today, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
Based on that and Talon were what I didn't expect to see at all. But if we get this early game start, this is where it would work. But you can already see the damage drop on this particular fight.
Definitely. I mean, this unit would have already been dead by now, the Garen. If not for those changes, it will eventually still die, and Diana will win. But yeah, it was a lot closer than Riku would have wanted it to be there, especially trying to make that at least a 2-win streak going into the Krugs. The HP has been preserved. You get a couple brawlers here. They're just running for now because of the best units. Another Lysandra, so yeah, maybe it is going to be a commit after all.
All right, and we are going to end up putting the tier on the Diana, so no like blue buff, i.e., Jeweled Gauntlet Lysandra shenanigans in the back line. Lysandra, I believe, is like her eyes move slower than any move unit in the game. In my opinion, her retargeting feels like it lasts forever. It feels almost like a Dota character turning around because of
Yeah.
turn speed in that game, right? That's what Lysandra feels like to me. In this situation, will be fine, but um, Goodnight Moon has like this weird power situation where it can be really good in the early game, then falls off in the mid game. Once you get all the units, things are going to be fine a little bit later on. But here, the itemization is what I'm most curious about when it comes to that Diana, especially with the damage and durability changes.
Yeah, I was thinking with a tier already put on there, it only really can be a Hodge, I would say, and it is going to be a Hodge after all. But the awkward thing is, like, a lot of times when Diana is able to do a lot of work, it's off the back of auto attacks, and IE really makes that happen. There's not going to be IE here, I don't think, because you kind of need a defensive item for the last one for Diana. The Morello's, I think, going in the Pike is good, is solid. I think Pike is oftentimes kind of the unsung carry of fights. Not only is he going to be stunning things, but he applies a lot of damage as well with everything that he hits with the Morello's. Going to
Mhm.
be applying it to at least 2 units right there. And it's just a Diana's job though to 1v9, but with Diana nerfs, I don't know if she'll be able to do that.
Yeah, we this is the nerfs, friends. You just saw it. I believe that Diana also lives through that cat ult. Even in the past. And so just not as durable, which I think is fair, right? But I think the drop was pretty steep when it comes to this Goodnight Moon comp. I don't really see this lasting into the late game. Maybe we do have a Hodge, which is one of the more versatile items when it comes to auto attack based champions, but we're kind of splitting the damage. We have a little bit of spell damage, we have a little bit of auto attack damage with the Hodge, and so we'll see if that all comes together, right? Both things are giving hybrid damage to you. And so that might be the way that you bring that Diana into that power level you need.
Yeah, and I almost would like to see this just be a composition that levels up kind of aggressively, and then finds a cane and just puts the items there on the cane. Because even when Riku power spikes and hits the tier fours, I don't even know if it's going to be enough at that point. Because we're talking about all the nerfs, so you're still kind of far away as well. You need 4 Lysandras and 5 Dianas right now, already 65 HP. Like, you hit the Diana 3 super early, but it's not win streaking you out either, so it's concerning on multiple fronts, I think.
Yeah, we 65 HP too. We're okay with trying something crazy here. If you're Riku, we do or we're 2 for 0
Yeah.
on our lobbies right now. And while the record is available, I don't really feel like you should ever play for a record, right?
Yeah.
You should
If
play
you hit
for a
it, you hit
lobby.
it, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's how it should be, right? If you find yourself in the fourth lobby, you're like, I can do this. Then maybe you put a little extra special attention on it.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think it's fine if you're Riku. Um, but yeah, we're also not hitting the other units, unfortunately, as well as our other units are quite weak right now.
Yeah, I mean, you have 2 Assassin, you hit the, couple Divines and Dazzlers, the Aurelia Lugs. It's not the worst right now, but definitely not great. Looking at Numano here, Numano is in that comfortable Numano position, it looks like this game. They have the Kindred Chosen, they have, a Chalice, which they like to slam a lot, and, a GA, which is pretty flexible item.
All right, Goodnight
Uh,
Moon will be good against this comp in
yeah, it
particular.
is good here, unfortunately for Numano.
Numano's probably fine against some other like brawlery slash can't really make a lot of distance comp, but since Diana is able to just jump in the back there, I think took Numano a little off
Yeah.
guard as Asian Gamer is in last place.
Yep.
Wanted to point that out because we're used to that.
There we go.
That also sounded way meaner than I intended it to. It's his play style, everyone. It is his play style. He ints because he likes playing Zed. Okay, I think we cleared that up. Numano,
Yeah,
though, is,
that was real aggressive there. Oh
I
man.
know, I'm sorry, I didn't really mean it to. That's, like, the second time today I've done that. Anyway, I like to see Path of Gaming on fire right now. Has had a little bit of a rough day, and I like Hobos doing what hobos like to do, which is apparently be on fire on top of the leaderboard.
Yep, and with compositions that you're not really gonna take into the late game either, just playing strong board, and Hobos is super good at that. New mono, we've seen them before stick with a kindred for the whole game, and with items like GA Jewel Gauntlet, sure you could say it could be, but I think Mono actually might be looking for an Ari pivot after all. They have the Ari already on board. These items are going to be best in slot for Ari. Haven't seen Ari in a while. Did see Ari a
Mhm.
little bit like day one of the NA qualifiers, and they had some surprising success. But days 2 and 3, they weren't really relevant there. But just to say, there is some room for that potential, especially with the nerfs to other things like Talon, who is a big Ari counter. I maybe could see it do stuff in this meta.
Yeah, and this RE comp is probably going to lose. This Kindred doing a good job making sure that we only lose by a little bit. Remember, RE got a little bit of a rework 2 patches ago. Will finish the cast if they die, but it won't continue to power up that Spirit Bomb. We do have already a second RE, so this is actually a really big deal
Yeah,
for Numano. And that's the thing. RE is just one of those things. RE, I think, is like the definition of one of those 50-50 comps, right? You throw the Spirit Bomb and everyone's still alive, you
yep,
lose. You throw the spirit bomb and you kill everyone, you win.
you
And
win.
while that sounds pedantic, right? It's just like if you're in
That's how it
first place,
goes.
you win the game, right? But that is how it goes when it comes to Ari. You have to have a jeweled gauntlet, right? That's the only way I think you really make this work, in my opinion. Especially with how again beefy some units are in the late game. But I remember a lot of people saying, Ari might be a sleeper pick in this particular meta, especially if you get that jeweled gauntlet in there.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with that. I think Ari might be a bit of a sleeper pick right now, so I'm actually really excited to see Numano go that route here, especially because you need to do something. You need to change it up a little bit if you're Numano. Going 7th
Yeah.
place to open things up, like all right, whatever just happened wasn't working. You got to find something else now, and I think this is a good identification of
Mhm.
that. Also, just to briefly bring up, so
Oh,
let's check in. Oh, there's the RE too. Okay, that sometimes
that's a
game plays
big
itself.
deal.
That is huge, that is huge. Numano could just sell the Kindred, soon, to place those items
Mhm.
on the
Can wait
RA.
until after Worlds.
Yeah, I suppose so, because it's not like you're gonna, be rolling for, like, an RA Chosen or something at level 7
Yeah.
and wanna go RE3 from there. It's probably not gonna happen that way.
Mhm.
But anyways, Asian Gamer sitting at the bottom of the lobby wanted to briefly bring up. I did look at their previous game, that end game screen, and they did have a Z in at the end, but it was a Z1 with 3 items, and they got fourth. Right now, they have a Z on the bench that wasn't the item carrier yet, but now is the time where they're going to be, popping off and going that. So Asian Gamer still is on track, running Z every single game. Death cap on Ari now, even.
Yeah, that actually delays the need for the jeweled gauntlet just a couple more rounds.
Yeah.
Just the raw damage. You're gonna be better if you have both, right? But it seems like we're committing to this kindred at least for a little while longer. Those items are perfect for Ari though, so definitely curious as to why we still have it. Numano is very, very good about making these decisions, but today has been a little bit of a different kind of day. We're going to switch around where this Ari is, and it's going to be all eyes on that Spirit Bomb. We're going. Too bad we switched that Ari because now we're going to get caged by that Sejuani. We also have a little bit of a taunt. Here we go. Is going to delete that back line. The GA is going to pop.
Yeah.
And this is going to be
Good.
a Kindred win because that's the thing about Kindred too with Ari is they're going to complement each other with Spirit as
Yep.
well. I think people have kind of forgotten that exists. You have the Spirit, and at this point in time, whoever Ari doesn't kill, Kindred should be able to be fine with. So um, right now, that's good. You're going to want to put all the damage on Ari in a second here.
Yep. Yumi, a good unit in this composition. As soon as the Kindred is taken out, the Yumi is there to provide that 2 spirit buff. And as we were saying, people don't really talk about it anymore, but it is still useful. It gets Ra faster to her first cast when the Yumi ults, and it gets her faster to her second cast when she ults. And with things like GA complementing that, it's gonna be really, really strong. A bit of a last second repositioning there once again for the Ari, moving here towards the middle and going up against single persona now, who is going a duelist composition with the Yasuo 3. And those are two amazing Yasuo items. Just needs a QSS now to wrap things up, but it's just tearing through this new meta composition.
Man, thank goodness for that RE rework, right?
Yeah.
Or else we lose by 6 units instead of just barely by 3. And that's why RE is okay now, right? You actually just saw it with Jeweled Gauntlet. Maybe all those units actually die. Oh, Jeweled optical illusion, sorry. I just kind of expect RE to be in the corner sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But the decision here for Numana is when I break away from this kindred. I think we might be a little greedy, maybe waiting till Wolves to see if we can just get another Jeweled Gauntlet on Ari. I don't know. But what I do know is that this Ari, if it ults, you might win. If you're able to kill that Ari before the ult, you're gonna lose. So
Yeah.
it's all on this Ari, and that's fine to have an all or nothing comp because things like Master Yi were like that, right? This thing like that.
Yeah. Okay, going up against Riku here, and Riku does have that Diana 4 at this point. Still Gunblade and Hodge, no third item, and they see the items on Riku's bench. They don't look too good. There's 3 bows and a cloak there. Man, if there was a fourth item on Diana, this composition or this fight actually could have been a win for Riku, but it's going to barely be a loss
Yeah, it'll be a
instead.
lost. Yep.
Yeah, and that's really, really good for Numana running for this matchup right now before Riku is able to find a third item for that Diana. And for Numana as well, actually talking about, are they greeting? I actually think I like keeping the Kindred in right now because you have a lot of HP to work with, right? That's always like one of the prerequisites of can I greed to go more levels. And the Ari, it's very much a gamble, like we're talking about it. If Ari ults and things die, you win the fight. If Ari ults and things don't die, you lose. But Kindred is now there to clean up after everything is said and done. Ari's still gonna do a lot of damage with the death cap with her ulti, and she's gonna get at least one cast off, usually, even though the GA isn't quite there. But yeah, the Kindred is there to guarantee, I think, overall more fight wins on average.
There, I used to have a little bit of a joke that if Ari ults twice, then you probably win. And again, I think that is very, very similar to what we're going to see most often. But there's a lot of movement here. Like these ninjas are going to kill that Ari pretty quickly. Any assassins like that Diana, even though we won the round against Moonlight, old Moonlight wins that round, right? So without those nerfs, Ari dies there too. So like the key with Ari is three things, right? Number one, positioning, right? You either have to position in the front or in the corner to guarantee that first ult cast. Number two is if you're running Major Knot, right? If you're going to try to get that cheeky second cast. And then number three is who is your secondary carry, right? In my opinion, who's going to finish off the people who you didn't finish off with that spirit bomb. And I think that's where, those three things come into play. And right now, Numano not doing none of those things. So Asian Gamer also struggling right now at 17 HP.
Yep, struggling pretty hard. And this is while Asian Gamer is used to being low HP right now, their board is oftentimes a lot stronger when we get to this point, or they're higher level, but they're still only level 7 with only 20 gold and still 3 Zeds off. Asian Gamer likes to oftentimes not go for Z3 but push to level 9. He looks like he can't really do either this game though.
Yeah, also, I don't know if y'all watching have been noticing, but these games have been quick today.
Yeah.
We're already at 5-1 and we're close to a elimination. And so this is where we are going to be finding some of our players starting to lose pretty heavily as well. But in terms of the power of the lobby, it doesn't seem like the lobby is as strong as the first half so far. In terms of the first two lobbies, as Numano is going to fall once again. Ari, that 50-50 so far has been a little bit on the weak side. But again, if we get our positioning cleaned up, Numano might find themselves in that victory position. Asian Gamer is stabilizing at 17 HP. But when you stabilize, you kind of want like 30 or 40. You want to be able to lose one or two, right? But at 17, if you lose by a lot, you're eliminated
Yep.
after pretty soon here.
That you are. That's not the 2 cost chosen H Gamer is wanting. Really, really wants that Zed chosen to make that a tier 3. And I think it would be just a roll down to 0 after this round. Like Asian Gamer needs to find some upgrades. You did win the last round, but it was honestly kind of lucky, I think. and especially going to stage 5, people are going to be a lot stronger. Path of Gaming, someone who's been kind of middle of the pack today. They got 5th and then a 6th in games 1 and 2, but they're starting off really, really strong in this game here.
All right. So our lobby is getting pretty close right now. Path of Gaming, like you said, is pretty strong. Everyone else, from like 2nd to 6th, kind of on even footing right now. Single Persona and Asian Gamer looking from the bottom of the totem pole. We've got a lot of money on our bench if we're Asian Gamer right now.
Yep.
No Z3. We're close though. We're level 7, and as you said, oh, two
Huh.
Kanyes in one pack.
Yeah.
But you're not going to choose it because that's not what we're. We could have. We do have an Evelyn on the board.
It's really only, I think if there was a Nico instead of like the Spat or something, we would have seen that being picked up. But since it's just gonna be Kane 1, you can't really fit it in. You're gonna want 3 cultists and the 4 ninjas in right now, and
Or
it's still
Diana.
good enough to beat Rico. Yeah, Diana is just, it's just not cutting it. It's really just not
No.
cutting it.
Hey, at least we see, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just one of those things. Like you can be told why something is bad, right? But it's like when a kid is like, "Can I put my head in the ice box?" This is a personal story.
That was way too
And
specific to be not a
yeah,
personal
I know,
story.
right? And your parents are like, you know what? Yes, you can. Right? And you put your head in and it's like, "It's cold." And they're like, "Yeah, now you know," and you never do it
Hmm.
again. I think
Yep.
that's very similar to what we're seeing right now with this Diana. Probably a little bit of regret, but we have room to work with. We won the first 2 lobbies. So if you're gonna do it, this is when you're going to do it. And the thing about change is you never really expect that kind of fall off, right? But it seems like intentional decision making to kind of let some units breathe while we kind of work with fine tuning on some other units. And I think that's kind of what Diana is doing right now. I think Moonlight needs to be looked at just in general in
Yeah.
terms of how to balance it. And right now is when they're doing it. And Diana is gonna take a little break, I think, from the top tier of TFT for at least a patch.
Yep. Zed, kind of similar, taking a break from being top tier, and it might mean that
One
Asian Game is
HP.
gonna live. Yeah,
Yep.
1 HP. But I was really, really close. They have one more round potentially before they get eliminated for them to find the Z3 there. Oh, Diana's gonna clean up this matchup. At least that.
Khroen, your t-
She
your
did
tone
something.
your t- your tone of voice was so funny. Oh, look at that. Our tree bore
Yeah.
fruit this year. But
No
any
Zed.
anyway, Asian Gamer doesn't find the Z. It's interesting for me to see Asian Gamer play this comp just based on like where he is on levels, right? Because if we
Yep.
maybe spent a little bit more time in the early game at level 5 or 6, we might pick up more Zeds, for example. But that doesn't ever seem to be the issue with Asian Gamer. Loco Doco was that way with Yasuo, right? Which
Yeah.
is like, all right, if I pick up the Yasuos, I have it. If I don't, I might get last. Right?
Yeah.
And Feast or Famine is the name of the game when it comes to a lot of these comps, and this is definitely one of them right now.
Hmm. Speaking of Yasuo, there's one on the board for single persona here, and one of these players is going to fall, and it's going to be Asian Gamer going out in 8th place here. Single persona was the person at the bottom of the HP standings, but they're going to live for another round here. And
Oh,
Riku wins once again with the Diana. Okay, there's some hope. There is some hope. And a lot of spat items here. 4 Vanguard spats, actually. Wow.
oh,
And also
Vanguard
a
spat late
duelist
game's not
spat.
bad, and an
Yeah.
assassin spat. So things might shenanigans might be had
One of them getting
a little
taken
bit
there. Okay.
later.
Yeah.
Shen Vanguard, not a bad idea actually.
Yeah.
Mega tanky, and a little bit of extra HP, but is going to stick on the board. I wonder if that duelist is going to get picked up.
No, because Single Persona passed up on it. They're not going 8
That's right, it was
duelists, and
single
they don't want
persona.
to. Yeah, they're not going to want to take out any unit or go to 8 duelists there. So it's just gonna be the GA. I think GA is a solid pickup at this point in the game, of
Always.
course. Yeah, it's honestly not gonna be like huge. Something that they could have done is pick up a duelist spat, take out a, like, say Fiora, because Fiora at this point in the game not great, put in another warlord and put the warlord spot on somebody. You can have 3 warlord that way. It's not like amazing, but then
It's
again,
extra stats.
yeah, it's extra stats. You're gonna be pairing it with a duelist spot on somebody. You can make, say, like, I don't know. I'm just gonna take for example if they could have put two sharpshooters and put a Jint in with a duelist and warlord. Like it's not gonna be the worst thing here. But right now it's just two dead items and you can't do anything with them.
Yeah, so things that, I like to kind of take into talk about the macro here in terms of things that we aren't seeing so far. Not a ton of sharpshooters. It's been used as a splash so far that we've seen. Not, of course, not a ton of warlords. And then the sharpshooter thing is actually the one that I'm most intrigued about because I don't know. I believe it's actually a pretty successful comp in Plat and Below, right? But does
Yeah.
start to fall off a little later on. We have seen a good amount of, again, what I like to call Bill Gates, which is the 5 cost comp.
Hmm.
Um, in the late game, everyone seems to be going that direction. Once you get to like the final two, right? Everyone's just is picking up the strongest units possible. And
Yeah.
we're seeing a little bit of that right now from moves. We get a Yone 2, blue buff, jeweled gauntlet, GA. That Yone is
Yeah.
strong.
That was huge, and this whole comp is kind of ride or die on the Yone right now. Well, Yone and Sejuani. Sejuani going to be getting a lot of ults off. She's 3 items, very tanky. 4 Vanguards are in here with the Vanguard Yumi as well, and you have good backline units as well. Minus the Kindred, I suppose. The Lux, the Ezreal, and the Zero are also all super super good. But it's really just the Yone show.
Exactly, and Yone has, I think, one of the coolest like fantasies in TFT.
Yeah.
Just the way that he works is visually like so appealing, and when he
Oof,
dashes to people, like that is
look at
so
that.
satisfying. And it's a
Yeah.
tier 2 5 cost unit; they should feel that way,
Oh yeah.
right? So we're gonna go ahead and ride or die with this Yone now.
It's yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say it's just like you talk about, the Yone there is such like just a cool unit, just like the Yone like slashing through the whole team there at the end, cutting the dual blades through all of them. It's very like anime-esque, but it's just like
Yeah.
one of those like super cool, fight scenes. And Yone, pulling it off right there and is gonna, hopefully do it in the future for Mu 2 as well. As we said, it's very ride or die on the Yone there. You don't have any other carry. You could take out the Kindred for something else, like a Kane at that point, but I guess it gives two Spirit right now, which is kind of like the best out of the synergies that you can stick in. There was the consideration to put a Shen in for some Adept. You can get Mystic that way as well, which honestly probably would be better, I think.
There's a lot of
Um,
magic damage right now in this lobby in
yeah,
particular.
I actually really do think like the Shen there a lot. So I'm kind of disappointed to see Mu pass up on that. But that is the decision that Mu has made, and it's gonna be a Kindred 2 now. Lux 2 as well. Oh wait, are they gonna not pick up the Lux? I think there's something on the bench they could sell to pick that up. Yeah, they could sell the set to pick up Lux 2. Guess they're
Yeah,
just
so
not
that's
going
not
for
really
it
gonna
though.
happen.
Yeah,
But we're gonna try to make it
maybe they
happen.
didn't see it, huh?
I
Because
mean, they're
I
yeah.
yeah, there's no reason why you actually like don't do that. I think, but oh well.
Actually, so Moo did a really, really cool thing just then. Waited for the trap claw to see where Kane was going to jump to, and then put
Yep.
the trap claw on that unit. Again, that's something that I think like high tier players know and like inherently to do, like with things like Strata Stillness, for example, or Zephyr, right? Where I think some of our plat below friends could definitely get the reminder of, you have that kind of dead time at the beginning of a round for a
Oof.
reason, and
Yep.
that's definitely it. As we do get another elimination, is Numano going to be able to sneak
Another.
in? Oh,
Ooh.
loses the true double tiebreaker there. So Numano will most likely not be in our
Nope.
top three. That's insane. I like Hobos might be able to kind of take the place, Path of Gaming, and Moo are going to finish out that top three with Riku and our Goodnight Moon in top four all of a sudden.
Who would have thunk?
I
Not
know.
me. Definitely not me from how it was looking in the early game here. It's gonna be a lot of items swapped over for ILikeHoboes there. ILikeHoboes playing that late game composition, those late game swaps. But yeah, Numano falling, Alex falling as well. We see Mood 2 did pick up the Lux 2 there. So they did realize it was in the shop, fortunately. But Hobo still has 3 items just on the bench there, just chilling.
That's how that's called asserting your dominance.
Okay, now they're on
Um,
mute. They're on Pike.
just to just to say, so Moo's looking pretty confident right now, especially since that Sejuani is going to get that ult off again. We're feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Another thing, again, for our kind of newer players is Ezreal is really good at healing. That's something that a lot of people, I think, underestimate about the character. Kind of think about it as like maybe a dazzler plus a nice little visual, but the healing's pretty intense. And I do believe he also depletes the attack speed of everyone that he hits. So a good ultimate damages and everything when it comes to big
Yeah,
visuals like that. So Ezreal doing a pretty good job as Riku is going to fall. Honestly, snuck into the top four. I think that was if like
it's
Numano
lucky.
didn't go Ari, for example, Numano might be in the top four instead because of just the lobby. I think the lobby was pretty vulnerable to that backline pressure,
Yep.
and we got to the top four because of it.
Yeah, you don't got to worry about Talons running Arya, but you still got to worry about Kane's. And a lot of people are gonna be running Kane at this portion of the game here. Riku fortunately got into the top four nonetheless. But looking at Path of Gaming here, still at the top, going against Mood though, that is still a Kane on the other side. That's gonna be a lot of a couple of Vanguards as well, and the Zillion too. Like look how many Zillion reses are on the units here, and there's gonna be more right now as well. They just can't deal with that.
Yeah, Moo's
Or
team.
can you?
I mean, maybe it doesn't seem like the burst
Nah.
damage is quite getting there, but yeah, Moo's going to fall.
Yep.
The time on Path of Gaming, it looks like they're all kind of stuck in 2020. They're just waiting to hopefully get to next year.
Yep.
Are you ready for that hindsight is 2020 jokes for 2021? You ready for that?
Oh man, I wouldn't even think of that now, and that just blew my whole perspective. That's gonna be such a relevant phrase.
I know.
That's
Exactly.
crazy.
You heard it here first, folks. As Path of
Oh
Gaming finds
no.
themselves in that top two for the first time today. This is a intense board, folks. Three Adept, four Mystic. This is something that I think is a very, very popular high level comp. We've got the tier two Lee Sin. Shen is always good. We have the Vanguard on him too, which was something that we had recommended a little earlier. We're one away from that tier two Kane. Ezreal is at tier two. We have a Fawn, right? So we're kind of feeling okay about ourselves right now. We're gonna also pick up that Lee Sin so other people can't do it. And when you're in a 1v1 situation, that's definitely a really great way to do it. This is potentially the last round of this lobby. ILikeHoboes with 3 HP needs to win this in order to stay alive. We've got a Kanye in the back line right now, but he's gonna end up losing out on those opportunities by ulting into the middle of the board. And Path of Gaming is looking quite strong right now. We've got two Ezreals, so they should cancel each other out. That heal, absolutely insane, as Path of Gaming is going to find the win, and he is stoked.
Yeah, that's a huge win for Path of Gaming there because going off of a fifth and a sixth, I believe, it's like, okay, you need some good placements in the next two games to have a chance of winning or just getting top three, get some of that money, get invited back. And it's going to be huge. They're going to get the scores up briefly here. But Riku still on par to perhaps tie the record, could do it with another first place next game. We're going to take a look at those right now. Yeah, 26 after 3 games. Riku and ILikeHoboes just ahead of the pack by a wide margin here. ILikeHoboes at 23 points. Mutu and Path of Gaming with 17. So, within striking distance to getting up there, perhaps. If Riku, eighths and Path of Gaming gets first, could win on tiebreakers, but I actually am not sure how that'll end up going. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, in order for Riku to not finish in the top three, they would have to finish last. They have to.
Yeah.
So if a seventh or higher for Riku is a return trip, it is a little bit closer for everyone else, particularly for our top three. Asian Gamer is gonna look at that one and be upset, I think. But Path of Gaming with that win has put themselves in a position. We won't talk about Numano. We've talked about it and how surprising, as I do it currently. How surprising this is, but the mighty can fall, right? Tom Brady is on the Buccaneers right now. You know, that was for someone specific that I hope is
I see.
watching. So the mighty can fall and find themselves in these situations. Is how you bounce back after it. That really makes you as strong as possible.
Yeah, you're just throwing shots left and right tonight, Boop. So am I. No one's
I
safe.
I know, right? It's one was completely on accident. The other two though were I'm feeling sassy, dude. I got the sass going. I got my like special medical cup. I got this when I was in the hospital and I was like, "Can I take this home?" And
It-
they were like, "Of all the things, I love this cup and I'm feeling sassy and I'm feeling good."
Sure, yeah, you came tonight. You're like, yo, feeling good, and have
Yeah.
to throw out some sass when you do. So that's Boop's good feeling. You gotta be
Yeah.
a bit playful. Gotta be able to take
Exactly.
a joke when Boop's around.
That is Definitely true, but warning, I can't take a joke. I'm just kidding. But the I like sometimes I kind of like miss. I have a friend. His name is Hurix, and that was the Buccaneers thing was for that. He's so good at baiting me into being like, "Are you really mad?" Right? Like, did I make you mad? And of course it's not, but
Yeah.
he's like one of two people who can get me there.
Ooh. AC, a mage chose a Nami here for ILikeHoboes, and look at that expression there. I don't know if that's like positive or negative, actually. I can't tell. I can't work it out. But there's two rods here, so you could Luden's Nami. It's still an
Mhm.
option. People can go.
It's a good early game. It's still good in the early game and really good
Yeah.
against Asian gamers specifically on that
Oh
set.
yeah, for sure.
Knowing that the lobby is there, Nami is, it feels so anti because of
Tier.
the type of character that it is, but Nami is one of the best assassin counters based on how her bubbles work. If she's able to get those ults off, especially if we're tier three. It looks like we're committing. I mean, we're picking up some other Namis. We're getting some tanky boys. We got Sir Thomas and we've got Ellen right next to and we're actually chilling right now.
Yeah, not too bad. Unfortunately, no tier there to make a Ludens, but at least if I like Hobos able to get a tier off of the stage 2 character, would be pretty on par to be strong.
Totally. Especially if we get a tier here. We have
Yeah.
3 items, which is a nice haul. In this section, actually, almost every unit had an orb in it, except for those last two. We got a lot of good units. We got some money, and we have an Ami, and
Yeah.
we got some mages now. So we're gonna
The
get double bubble trouble.
Yeah. The Lulu is actually a really good pickup there. It gives the 3 mage. You do have the TF as well if you didn't have the Lulu, but it allows you to have the option to take out the TF to run a tankier front line. And I always think that's what ILikeHoboes should do unless they want to go for a win streak here. And I guess you might not want to go for a win streak here because you don't have the Ludens. You want a tier, so you want to be lower HP to pick that tier. But you have the 4 mages in just to be able to deal with as many units as possible to not drop like super, super low. You don't want to be like 80 HP or lower on that stage 2 carousel.
Totally. I mean, remember, we talk about it all the time. It's economy. HP is economy in the early game. How
Yep.
you use it in the early game is going to affect how you're going to use it in round 6-1. Right?
Mhm.
It all kind of snowballs from your decisions early on. So that's why, like, I love TFT. It's both stressful but relaxing at the same time. You're like 30 seconds of absolute stress during the planning phase. You let things go, you do your scout, and you get to clear your mind and go forward after that. But the decisions that they have to make, again, you might not even know that you made a bad decision until 4 rounds later.
Yep.
Right. And so, how you work with that, because that's going to happen. It's not about saying, I made a bad decision. It's what's next. Right. You can't get trapped in that, oh man, attitude. It's all about
Mhm.
how am I going to get out? How am I going to move? And yeah, there's the other pole of that where you're making too many decisions. Right. That's definitely something that we've seen today be a negative for some people. But these players are really good at balancing where they fall on that decision making process. And I think I
Yep.
like Hobos is one of the best at it.
It seems so. Talk about the decision-making process, though, is an interesting thing to think about. I'm always thinking, like, ILikeHoboes would have been better off to not play that tier 2 Garen in the front line there, but rather be comfortable with going on a loss streak and also make 10 gold at the same time. Because
There's a lot of
if
gold on
this
that
next,
bench.
yeah, a lot of gold on the bench. If this next round is a loss because ILikeHoboes is still really weak, doesn't have Ludens yet, then you're not going to be win streaking or lose streaking at all. If this is a win, then like great, but then your HP might not be low enough to get a tier. It's still 92, so maybe that's not going to be as much of an issue, and you can still make 10 gold here. It's just a lot of players would have greeded out for that extra econ to then want to make at least 20 gold after this carousel, and then that propels you really quickly into getting that 50 gold interest a lot earlier. And you're going to be wanting to start to slow roll. Well, maybe you don't if you're like Hobos, but some players would want to slow roll on level 5 as soon as possible to try to get that Nami 3 online.
But remember, everybody, I like hobos in fourth lobbies, averages like a seventh place. So
Sure.
has twice in our time with I like hobos on Fight Night Rising lost out on the win because of the fourth lobby.
Yep.
So this is something that we don't want to see again. Like it is a bad habit so far, and it affected him when he was part of the qualifiers, right? You got to be able to maintain, and just like in a marathon, right? Whoever or the Tour de France, whoever is leading in the midway point, um, is probably not going to win the race, right?
Yeah.
Horse racing is the same way. TFT not as much, but you can definitely pool some of those
Sure.
um, lateral um,
There you
um,
go.
reasonings, reasonings there too. So um, that's kind of like where I'm at in my head. Single Persona 2 is someone that I'm very intrigued to see how they're going to deal with this particular lobby as they're in the running. Has had a very, on and off day, but for anyone who's come back for 2 weeks, you can't count them out. And then for some reason, there is always a spoiler in our fourth lobby. Someone in seventh or eighth place that gets top two. And when Numano's in this position,
Oh
right,
yeah.
and to make impact in this way, that might be where we see it too. So this fourth lobby has the opportunity to be absolutely insane.
Oh, I actually wasn't paying attention. Did you see if ILikeHoboes had the opportunity to get a tier on that carousel?
I was no, I don't
Okay.
believe so. So even if they did, I don't feel like we're mega like we're like moderately committed to this right now,
Yeah, I don't
right?
think
Like we're not like mega committed right now.
for sure. It doesn't have to be mega commit from here, especially with no Ludens at this point. Okay, apparently chat saying there was a tier, but someone closer got it. Okay, thank you, chat room. I
Yeah.
was like going into that round like, okay, it must look for tiers, but then talking about other stuff there though. But it's fine. I like hobos here. It's actually really interesting because they have to say, okay, what do I do now? I can't really commit for this. I mean, I can, but it's not going to be quite as good. You
Hmm.
can't preserve the HP that you're normally going to in stage two on a 2 loss streak as well. It's not even like it's a full loss streak, so
It's
econ's
happening.
it's gonna be a bit iffy. The fourth lobby, I like hobos. I don't know. We'll see. There's still options to go from here. It's not like I like hobos
Yeah.
is doomed. Just off of principle right now, but it is still gonna be a rough uphill climb.
This is also the type of position that I believe he functions the weakest at,
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
Is a comp that he barely plays, right? We have seen him run this double bubble comp before, but that was like weeks ago when it was much stronger, right? And it seems to be more of a placeholder right now. And there is no direction. There is direction
Mhm.
in terms of, all right, we've got mage, but if you look at the bench, right, it's just a bunch of okay units in the early game, and they're all starting to fall off once we get past this, Krugs round. That's when our tier one units need to be tier two.
Yeah.
And we might be able to pull some wins because we do have that guarantee, right? But it's still really,
Well,
really close for comfort. And even with spin to win, I believe this NID will be able to get to their ult. Doesn't even need it
yeah.
for ILikeHoboes to lose again. And Single Persona's team, while moderately strong, right, isn't mega strong, you know?
Yeah.
So ILikeHoboes struggling against the whole lobby right now.
It's not the worst. You maintain the loss streak right now. You're 80 HP after 4 losses. Also not really the worst. Um,
Yeah, it's not the worst. But
yeah,
knowing hobos and the way they play,
oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
definitely,
it,
definitely.
it puts like I think a different set of glasses on it, right? It's not the worst, but for this particular player, they would rather be somewhere else,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And that always affects your decision making.
Uh-huh. If you're playing from a point where you're not comfortable, like all you talk about, mouse movement, even like it's gonna come into effect here. Like if you're playing position you're not
Hmm.
comfortable in, you're gonna be a lot slower in what you're gonna be doing.
Yep.
It's not gonna feel as clean. Oftentimes, there's just going to be that noticeable difference there. And for like Hobos, hopefully they're able to get to a point to whereas they are comfortable soon. Otherwise, the transition later on. Oh man. Okay, otherwise the transition on it'd be a lot harder. Now I like Hobos finds 2 tiers off of the Krugs. Patience would have been rewarded there, but there was not enough patience. Probably
And
Kobo
that's
not gonna
and
stay there.
that's what I'm talking about, Crow, in that player specific play style, right? Hobos likes pushing that tempo, and that's why we have a locket on that Nami, right? Like, yeah, we wanted to lose by less units too,
Oh,
but
man,
we had best in slot items, and now we don't.
that's
And
crazy.
those are the types of mistakes that cause this fourth lobby curse for our friend here.
You can't even really I mean, in my opinion, you can't even really call it a mistake. It's just kinda, like, unlucky because 'cause you're not gonna think, "Oh, I'm going to get 2 tiers off of Krugs." Like, that's almost never going to happen, right? It just
Yeah.
happens in this game here. So I think the lock it slam to say, okay, I'm not committed to this anymore. I need to start pivoting out is actually the correct decision. It just happens to now be in the case to where there's two tiers.
Hey, Khroen, because you know what? Hindsight is
Oh,
2020.
yep,
You're welcome. You're
there
welcome,
it
everybody.
is. It all comes full circle. It all comes full circle here. I like hobos. They still could go for double Ludens. They have the opportunity to go another run off of the carousel that's coming up, but that is back to the direction of a commitment. And the extra Nami was already sold. We have seen people in the past go for a Nami 2 with the double Ludens to carry into the late game until you get those legendary units. But there's still more options besides for that, however. Gonna check in with single persona right now.
This looks
Towards the
familiar.
top of the lobby with a 4-win streak right now, looking pretty solid with the 4 sharpshooters.
Yeah, a lot of variety so far in this lobby, just in
Yep.
general. We have an Aphelios on the other side, which we got to see a little while earlier. Remember, Aphelios got some major changes in that last patch.
Yep.
He had a rework because Rageblade Aphelios just wasn't fun. To go against, and then
Yep.
we had like the res changes, and now we can do a little bit more base damage type of stuff. And I think he functions better with that hunter trait than he ever has
Yeah.
right now. And ends up beating single persona and taking that win streak away. And we have a Silas 2 as well for our Moonlight player. So Goodnight Moon, looking a little different, is going to be coming from the back line instead of that Diana like we saw Riku do.
Yeah, Rika did get top 4 with it, so it's not like you can count it out as saying you never wanna run that comp. There is still, times where it can be okay. It's not gonna be nearly as consistent, however, but Aphelios honestly could be a bit more consistent, depending. I'd be curious to see how this comp does work out later on in the game, if that is going to be the commitment there. But looking at Numano here, this Numano board, it looks very Numano-esque, I suppose, but they're also towards the bottom of lobby in
Hmm.
HP, which is kind of worrying. Going to be winning this round, however. The Chosen Annie is just a unit that you want to run for now. Is it Fortune, actually? Be curious to tune into Numano's perspective a bit soon. And okay, actually, thank you, Persona, for right clicking it. It is the Fortune Chosen Annie. So going to be making a bit of gold there.
So it's actually really funny. You assume that you need to lose with Fortune, right? We talked about this at length a couple weeks ago, but this is the first time we're seeing it today. I think it's good to speak about. That 2 gold is a big advantage if
Yeah.
you do it a couple times, right? Because it's not just 2 gold, right? Say you have 8 gold and you get 2 from your Fortune, right? All of a sudden you've got an extra gold from your interest, and that's going to compound. I'm not an economist. Um, though yesterday I did get through a dungeon in D&D by explaining trickle down economics and unions.
I'll ask you about that later. 'Cause I'm so curious right now.
But yeah, we'll wait till after. But you know, economics are it's so huge, and how to manage that economy, like we say, is such a big deal. And I think where single persona is right now, we've got our 4 sharpshooters, right? We're okay for the time being. We want our jinx to be a little bit stronger, but if we talk about fortune in that same way, it's all more. So if you have a 6 game win streak on a fortune comp, that's 12 extra gold, which is
Yeah.
a lot of gold,
Not even
especially in the
smaller.
hands of these players. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, at least 12 gold there. It could be, could be getting 3 gold for some of those wins too. So maybe, something like 15 gold, which is, a kind of a huge deal, honestly. And so I like seeing that fortunate run there, even if it is on a win streak. Asian Gamer going for that 6 cultist in the mid game here is super, super strong to run that. People are, not running as much cultist in this patch, but it's still gonna be solid for this midpoint here in the game.
It's funny to see some of the bugs, like the coding bugs in the game. I don't know if you noticed, but a couple of the units on the bench got taunted.
Yep, and that
Um,
happens.
and
Sometimes do
and
little
so
legend
like and
too.
so it kind of like reminds me of like when you watch like WWE and you're doing tag team and the
Yeah.
person outside the ring's just talking mad, you know, crap on you. That's kind of like what I imagined there. It's just like, yo, you're getting it. So single persona at 76 HP now, in the middling part of the lobby. Also, the comp is a little middling now. Getting a couple bigger frontline units should help
Oh, yeah.
take down some units, but we'll see if we're going to be able to win out multiple rounds. I don't know if we want to continue lose streaking, but the option is kind of there for, in my opinion, for both. But we're gonna end up losing anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to, but you're going to regardless there. The Jin and the Nidalee in the backline there with that Shade chosen Zed. A bit too strong for Path of Gaming. Path of Gaming, it's interesting to see someone contest the Zed. They were holding two Zeds in the bench as well. I don't think that is going to be a committal to Zed based off of the items that we saw. Maybe it's just to, say, hey, Asian gamer, you're gonna have a rough time finding that Z3 this game.
It's a legitimate strategy,
Yeah.
right? We actually don't really see a ton of TFT players steal units
Hmm.
until like their legendary units in the late
Yeah.
game, or four cost units. Um, like Ash used to be a unit that people just picked up when Ash was kind of like everything
Yep.
in this part. A lot of items for a single persona, but yeah, and so as we transition into now, I would say the mid to late game for one, we need to see comps, right? If we're saying things like, "Oh, what direction are they going to go?" Right? That is not a good thing. I love Ionic Spark on Riven. I know you do too, and we can put a Rabadon's on her too. Not the biggest fan of that.
Oh.
As I oh,
Oh. Yeah, that's a ooh right there. I
So
think
Ionic Spark is one of the best items on Riven, period. But it
yeah,
might be the combo of the Hextech Gunblade and the hat. We'll see.
I'm not a fan of it personally. I'm a fan of it as an item holder, I suppose, if you want to put on something else later, I guess. But with the items that are on the Nidalee right now, it makes me think, okay, this wants to be just a Dusk and plus a Jin comp. Um, sure, it could be like Warwick or Ash or whatever single persona does find. I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be greeting to level 8 to then roll down at that point. But I mean, they're going to probably on after the stage 4 carousel on 4-5, however. But you're going to take some big losses, I think, the next couple of rounds because even
This,
with the Garen, Thresh, and driving it upgraded, like you're just not strong enough. The Nidalee is far been outscaled at this point.
yeah, this is going to hurt. And if there's any unit that I feel like traps a player more than any unit in the game, it is Riven. There are just some
Yep.
people who love Riven, and there are people who just don't really like playing her. The itemization on her is so everyone I feel like has like their favorite version, right, of itemization on Riven. And while these shields are going to be very large, this Riven is going to be very squishy. This is, and you just saw it right there because of that Hunter proc. That's what you call a glass cannon, friends.
Yep.
And this, look at this Aphelios go! Look at him
No,
go!
he's trying his
Right,
best.
A for effort,
Honestly,
you know.
yeah, I'm surprised Alex is top of the lobby in HP at 85 right now with that Aphelios. Makes me think that it's been farming a lot of other compositions, honestly, and there means that there is some potential there.
And the other really interesting thing on where we're gonna go from here is that like you said, Hextech Gunblade and Hat only really go on a couple people, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I saw a Rabadons go on anyone. This is gonna sound weird. Go on anyone else other than Callista, because it seems like,
Yeah.
oh,
Sure.
we have two rods. Let's just put it on Callista,
Yeah, they're left
right?
over, like, it's not bad at that point, like
Exactly, but to have it already be built is really, really interesting. I know that Mort and the team really want Rabadons to be like a really good thing because remember when you just built Chalice,
yep.
right? Instead, so we're definitely going to be looking over at that, and Riku is going to be winning a lot
Oh,
probably
yeah.
for the next couple rounds as we have almost best in slot items. We still need to finish off that last item. What
Yeah.
is that
Titan's
bow going to
Resolve
end
kind of
up going into? It's going to be that Titan's Resolve. And
yep.
man, 160 extra AD. That's insane.
Yeah. Deathblade's no joke. That item is very, very strong. One of the best units that you can put it on is the Orwick there. Orwick good in the meta. Riku going for a sword there instead of a vest to complete that Titans, but it might just be the Lee Sin that they're wanting to get a 6 Divine online. So ooh, it's always rough. It's like, yeah, you can roll the units, but you can't roll the items. You want to prioritize items usually. However, that 6 divine might just be a little bit too enticing there. You can make the bow into something else later on, sure, whatever. It's fine.
Reminds me of that dog that looking at the cupcakes, right? that from far away, he's just like, I need those.
Uh,
And when it comes to the divine comp, I think that that could be pretty similar as we finally get rid of that
yep.
in Italy. And no matter who your chosen is, it always hurts to sell anyone with items as we get a chosen Riven. Let's see what. Too bad we didn't build that ionic spark earlier. Sorry,
Yeah.
sass came out again. But yeah, but single persona would have loved that ionic spark. It is such a good item, not just for Riven, but also for the rest of the team, for the Kennons, for the Jinxes, especially if you're going to be running Dusk, right? And now you don't even need the AP since you have 4 Dusk, and you're going to get that AP from them. As there's actually a little bit of a delay on the movement on that Riven, as we're going to take a little bit of a walk into the back line. The
Yep.
pathing on that Riven was awful. As Numano is gonna be the beneficiary of that because of the taunt.
Yeah, Riven did kind of nothing there. Numano's in a pretty solid spot. Numano probably you're talking about one of the people to play spoiler potentially, and it
Mhm.
looks like it is going to be at least at this point in the game. Numano, level 8, really good HP. Single persona, a level 8, not as much HP by far, and a weaker composition, and no ionic spark on the Riven there.
Oh, okay, this is
If
good though.
yeah, the finding that Cassiopeia upgrade is really strong. You kind of like need a gen right now. The Jinx those items it's just it sucks. Or okay, or Warwick as well. But if you're running Warwick, you're gonna want divines in there, or maybe another hunter as well. But nothing like that is occurring right here. So I mean, best in slot items. Oh, actually not. Okay, IE instead of Deathblade, but the Ruinans and the QSS best in slot. However,
God, QSS and Warwick, man. Name a more iconic duo right
yeah,
now.
it's pretty
It
good.
used to be Yasuo, I guess, and then Zed right now. QSS is such a good item. I remember when you were first talking about it, when this set first came out, you're like, I think most carriers are gonna need that QSS in order to function.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that that ends up bringing you called it from like week 1, dude. And so just wanted to give you a little bit of that, pat on the back and say that you said it. You said all this was going to happen as we're going to pivot once more. I wonder if we keep the Riven because of Dusk, maybe.
yeah. I mean,
But
4
this
Dusk and
is,
4 Keeper, I suppose.
I
Like,
mean, if we luck out and get a spat and a sword, Divine Riven could be cool.
true.
And that damage mitigation will give you the defensive stats that you need. Oh,
Oh,
okay. I was
I
about
thought
to say
oh,
we do
wait,
get
I
the
almost
sword.
happened.
Okay, cool. So I almost look like an awesome person just then. But anyway, it would have like helped um mitigate the lack of defensive options on the itemization because you still didn't get any defensive items right here. But I think what you're missing most out on is actually just the extra damage that your other units are going to be doing when it comes to that ionic spark. I mean, it is a stat kind of steal that you put on everyone on the other side once they ult, and then all of a sudden magic damage becomes a lot harder to take, and you're just not going to have that right now.
Yeah, I would've ooh, okay. I was gonna say I'd like to see single persona prioritize repositioning first and then, putting the items on later, but the item distribution isn't quite where I thought it would be. There's the QSS on the Riven instead of the Jhin. It is only a Jhin 1, but there is an eco, so it could be a Jhin 2
Mhm.
soon. Looking strong enough to do with Mood 2 right now, potentially. Actually, no, the Ashe is still in the back, and it's gonna be dealing just too much damage for the Riven and the Jhin to get through here. So single persona on probably 1 life right now, unless the next
Mhm.
fight loss, if there is one, is going to be by only, like, 2 units.
Can we take a quick look at Passive Gaming and Asian Gamer just to see their team comps just real quick? One or the other would be awesome, just to see like what they've been doing. So we've got 4 ninjas, again for Asian Gamer. Man,
Yeah.
this I would love to see like how Asian Gamer de-stresses because to do a first or eighth comp every almost every single game is stressful.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I would
Some
lose
people
weight.
thrive in it, some people like that.
I know, and, I get, like, so tired. I get, like, legitimately exhausted.
Yeah, it's mentally exhausted, I feel you.
Yeah, when that happens to me, so all the power to Asian Gamer. It takes a lot of mental fortitude, to be able to
Yeah.
run a comp like this and to run it well. As Moo and their Kennen gonna not really do much, but at least butter up a lot of the other units for Asian Gamer. Path of Gaming did fall. Asian Gamer will follow up. Single Persona
Yeah.
did win out that last round. So we did get 2 eliminations. And Path of Gaming falls victim to the 4th lobby curse. 1 lobby 3, last in
Yep.
lobby 4.
It happens, but Asian Gamer first or eighth is not quite eighth, but seventh, pretty much. You got eliminated in the same round. But that is really interesting for you to bring up right now, because I'm kind of thinking about like the mental stress of being just low in HP a lot of the times. And I personally I like it in TFT, but I'm thinking back, I'm like I played like StarCraft. I felt like a lot of like mental fatigue, like mental exhaustion. I feel like
Yeah.
every game, I'd be like, oh man, that took like so much out of me and like
Yeah,
queue
Overwatch
up
was
and be
like
fine
that
into
for
the
me.
next one. But it's
Yeah.
just so mentally exhausting. And to be so low HP, having to keep track of everything going on in TFT, right, is like, oh
Uh-huh.
man, it must be a lot. But Asia Gamer has kind of perfected that, it seems. But
Mhm.
still, the result isn't going to be good enough this game.
Yep, and Riku with that Warwick comp, wanting to tie the record actually at 25 HP on fire. We said that they were going to win. Numano is going to fall. We are going to keep our four dust comp. Thank God for that QSS because that Riven was getting blown up
Yeah.
when it came to starting off on these battles and single persona under 10 gold as well. So we are in desperation mode. We hit 8, so we at least get those units. We get the opportunity to pick up a legendary or two. Is it going to be enough to pass someone like ILikeHoboes or Riku in the standings right now?
Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be close. People getting their completed items here. Alex getting still top of the lobby, level 7. Only player in the lobby is still level 7 and gets a Shojin. Shojin not gonna be great on too many units nowadays, but I actually be curious to see what composition they're rolling with here. And okay, I see a Nunu 3 is achieved on the right hand side there. That's not too shabby of a unit, honestly.
Imagine if we still had Warwick. Ah! No, this is just like a feels bad again. It's another hindsight is 20. I'm sorry. Hindsight is 2020. Thank you, Asian Gamer, for the raid, by the way. A single persona now on elimination station. Right now, single persona needs to stay off that train. If he gets on, he's out of here. Oh, the team comp on the other side doesn't look mega strong. We do have
No.
Mage Zillion though, so I mean,
Hey.
we love extra lives, but this Riven is gonna eat them up.
Yeah, Mage Zillion's one of the best mages you can make in the game. There's also Mage Yone, and like that's not great. There's also like no other items on any carries. ILikeHoboes survives this round on 2 HP, but the future may not look too good.
It's looking like a Riku lobby win right now. Not lobby win, fight night win. We'll see who wins this lobby as I believe our friend in first place just hit a Silas 3. So
Yeah,
we are either going Moonlight on that part
yeah,
or we're hitting those brawlers again. And I believe that is the Moonlight
it's
comp with the
Moonlight, yeah.
Aphelios.
I do want to check that out if we can and see exactly how Aphelios 4 is able to function in this meta. And yeah, gonna be going over. Okay, the Shojin was for the Aphelios. Okay, that does. I mean, it's not gonna be great, but I guess it's kind of what you got at this point. You're gonna need him to carry, and his items with just the Hodge isn't quite enough. The Nunu, however, is just such a huge front line, and not a lot of things can get through that Nunu very easily.
Yeah, this is telling me Aphelios is a better carry than Diana
Oh
in
yeah,
this comp right now.
looks
And
like it.
that's what you should be going for, as Alex is going to be the one that running that comp. It's been a while since we've said hello, but is
Yeah.
going to be running Hunter and Moonlight. Like I said, Hunter is just like a really great way to cut down on units with a little help of RNG based on where some of the positioning is on the other side. As I believe they focus the lowest health unit is the wording there, lowest
Yeah.
percent health or something. And so each turret is also going to proc, I believe, that hunter unit either when you do or independently. I'm not a big Goodnight Moon runner, so you probably have the stats here on that Aphelios.
I haven't seen a Felix run in so long. I actually don't remember if the turrets do proc that or not. Um, yeah, don't recall. But anyways, the level up happens for Alex, and Azir gets put in, and that's super good when it comes to protecting the back line. The Nunu is already going to be a huge force in the front line, but if we see things jumping into the back line like canes and stuff, the
Hmm.
sand soldiers can be really good for it. The soldiers are just going to be on the left hand side here to dissuade anything from
Hmm.
getting to the Aphelios from that side, like this Riven here.
Yep, I use sand soldiers to block my own units in on accident. So don't do that, friends at home. Really remember how many hexes someone's range is. This Aphelios is absolutely insane. even without that new Noom, I believe this Aphelios is going to end up running things down. A single persona sneaks into fourth place. Really hard fought fourth place, by the
Oh yeah,
way. Really a lot of credit from me in terms of single persona getting the bad roll twice in terms of itemization, chose the ribbon, should have gone Warwick, right? And we're end up in fourth place anyway. So that's probably one of the hardest fought fourth places we will see. So really good props to single persona for sneaking in there. Riku isn't winning as much as usual. Numano at level 9, and Alex is in a very good position.
yeah,
Very intrigued to see how this Aphelios works against the Warwicks. That's what I
definitely.
really, really want to see.
Yeah. Also, something interesting to note is ILikeHoboes is sixth this game. They had a bit of a rough start when it comes to their preference, and the result kind of goes to show that that's just kept on that route. But we are in our top three right now. I see Alex versus Numano, and Numano's kind of back to the comfort here with this Ash being the carry. It's something that Numano's had the most success with. But now the Aphelios on the other side, it's just gonna still tear through that composition. Numano on one life left.
Oh man, I am excited to try some Aphelios a little bit later. Going up against a 4 adept comp too seems to be totally fine as Alex's
Yeah,
ghost
QSS.
yeah, takes down Riku. So oh no, Riku falls and it's gonna be Numano to follow things up. This is looking like an easy Alex win, to be completely honest with you. Numano's gonna have to pull something
Yeah.
crazy
I mean,
out of that
Roland puts a zillion in. I don't know if that's enough,
it's
however.
not.
Yeah, like the front line, like
This
okay,
is
and get locked to
honestly
block.
not like the strongest second place comp we've ever seen either versus a very strong
No.
comp.
I
I
mean, I think it goes to the a couple of the recent patches. I think you're not gonna see as strong of endgame compositions usually. You're gonna be
mhm.
scraping into, top 4s and top 2s with this kind of, "Okay, my composition still wants to be improved upon, but at least I'm here, right? At least I'm top 2." And
Yep.
it's gonna be only a top 2 for Numano here, but still the best placement he's had tonight as Alex takes game number 4 here.
All right. So that's gonna really, I think, put third place into flux. Numano does play spoiler. Hobos gets sixth. So even he
Yeah,
had probably his worst day at fight night so far. As we get into our final scores, friends, of our fight night, we got Riku in first place, Hobos in second, and Moo is going to sneak in into third. Alex, with that last win, almost made it to third place, but did not quite get there. Path of Gaming, Single Persona, Asian Gamer, and Numano finish out the top 8. I like Hobos, the only returning player to finish in the top 3, as
yeah.
Numano will end up falling for the first time in 8 weeks. 6 out of
Wow.
7 weeks, I believe. One eighth week, just couldn't get it past that. Single persona also falling to that 3 week curse as well. But I like Hobos is going to be back along with Riku, who was a little bit of a Warwick one trick today.
Work one trick, but played it well, and that's what you gotta do in this meta to have success. Top 4 at every single game, won 2 of them, pretty crazy. Even the scores for tonight overall, besides for, for Riku there at number 1, were pretty close. There was someone at, like, 19, someone else at 18, someone else at 17, and at 16 points. Like, just so close. Even looking at the scores of the 3rd place, I believe it was Moo, got, like, a couple of 5th places, never got 1st, but still snuck into the top 3 there. Like,
Mhm.
some on average, like, lower placing because everyone's just so close to each other, but no, Riku definitely played well above and beyond everybody else. So we'll see if we can get an interview here perhaps soon. Be curious to see a player's perspective in this new, very much new meta than we were last year on Fight Night, and kinda how comfortable they are, especially, being a new competitor to Fight Night as well.
Oh, I love the camaraderie in the chat right now. There's no like, that. Everyone's like, good job. That was pretty good. I love it. I love this community just in general. Thank you, Numano, for the raid as well. We really appreciate that. We're going to get Riku on this interview in a second, but I also want to say thank you to In the Flesh, who is our producer and will be transitioning off of TFT after today. So everyone give him some snaps or whatever you want to say because he's been with us for a very long time and is the reason why the stream goes. So is please give him that recognition if you can, as we're going to miss him. We've got some awesome opportunities for other people coming in as well, with some people moving into newer positions. But yeah, just wanted to give In the Flesh that little bit of time today, as he will be leaving us after today. But we do have our interview. Hello?
Soon.
Oh,
Soon.
anyway,
Not
I heard the word interview. Here we go. I see Riku. Man, if you ever give me a teleprompter, you can sneak in whatever you want um, in that teleprompter. Anyway, Riku, are you there? I heard you pop in.
Hello.
Oh, I heard you. Can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. 2 lobby wins to start. But I want to talk about Warwick real quick. Is he just that good? Is that the reason why we ran Warwick all 4 lobbies? Or 3 of the 4 lobbies?
He's really easy to stabilize if you hit.
Mm. All
And
right.
most
So,
of my games I was kinda low on HP, so I had to roll.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
kinda high rolled at level 7.
Hey,
Happens
sometimes it happens. Sometimes you high roll. Where you so when we talk about work, obviously, like everyone's thinking about it in this meta as something that's very, very strong. Did you have any other like compositions that you were comfortable with coming into today, being like, okay, I might run, I might run like some Dusk, or I might run like, say, like a cultist or anything. Like, what was your preference coming into tonight? And I know you said you had to roll down at 7 and get lucky there, but did it go kind of according to plan?
Mostly Cultist, Piba, late game comps or Warwick.
Yeah.
But most of and Moonlight if I had the opener.
Yeah, do you
But
think
most
also
of the games I had good items for Warwick.
definitely. Do you think that Moonlight is still strong? I know some Moonlight units, got nerfed. Diana 3 and 4 got nerfed. Lysandra as well. Do you think that composition is still strong enough to take lobby wins, or is it kind of just a top 4 composition there?
It's a safe top 4.
Okay.
You can win some lobbies depending on when you hit, if you can fast 9 after. But it's a top 4 for sure.
Yeah, top 4 composition. Pass it back over to Boop. If you have anything
do
else?
you prefer running a first or eighth composition or a standard top 4 composition? Say, someone's trying to play in a tournament. What advice would you give them in that sense? Play what you're comfortable with, or play like what you're good at? Or play what's good in the meta, sorry.
In a tournament setup, probably first or eighth. Since
Interesting. And why?
you want to win. Nobody remembers the third guy, the second guy after a tournament.
That's true.
Yeah.
Um, all right, man. Well, that's it for us. What we like to do to end our interviews is please tell us your socials, anything that you're doing, and anything that you want us to know.
Well, I'm streaming. Not sure.
Where can we find your stream?
Twitch TV/RequenA.
All
And
right.
so, okay, one last thing. Everyone is saying, as a caster, you're not supposed to read chat, but I have to say that everyone is saying Cobra Kai right now. Can you explain? Can you explain the joke to us?
Cobra Kai is our not my official team that I'm signed,
Uh huh.
but a friendly team of players.
Awesome. I love it. Khroen, you take us to the end here.
Very cool. Thank you very much, and congratulations again, Riku, on your Fight Night Rising victory. We will see you here next week.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you. All right, Boop. This has been a day. We've had some
Uh
good
huh.
games, had a lot of Warwick, but
Yep.
at the end of the day, Warwick's what wins games. Riku, the Warwick player, has won tonight and was on par to tie the record. Didn't quite do it, but still had a super impressive performance. Like, not a single game was a bottom 4 there. It was really, really good overall.
Yeah, the game that he got fourth was a very big learning experience, I think, for a lot of us when it
Yeah.
comes to that Diana. So even in the loss, we learned a lot there. But again, want to thank you to In the Flesh for guiding us and providing such wonderful production over the last couple weeks. Thank you so much, and thank you all of you for watching today. That was a good one, and dealing with my sass. Congratulations to Cobra Kai, and if you want to follow us on Twitter as well, I'm at Boopasaurusrex. I believe Khroen,
Yeah,
you are.
just at Khroen on the
There we go.
socials. You can find all this Giant Slayer content as well at Twitter, Giant Slayer TFT as well for all the TFT spice. And I mean, I'm excited to proceed forward into this meta. We're getting into the real, competitive season here, at least for NA. I know EU players are a little disappointed at the lack of news, but hopefully there'll be some in the near future, I'm sure. But until next time, it's been Khroen and Boop bringing you some Fight Night Rising action. We will see you next week. Have a good one.